Enjoy all episodes of the RCWR Show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio.
Do you, a friend, or a loved one suffer from drug addiction, alcoholism, bulimia, anorexia, or maybe from a post-traumatic stress disorder or a psychiatric disorder? Have you tried seeking help? If not, you are putting yourself and those who love you at risk. The time for action is now. I've got a number I want you to call. It's okay if you don't have a pen or paper right now. You just make a mental timestamp of when you're hearing this, be it live or on the downloads, so you can write it down and make this call as soon as possible. I'm going to give it to you 3 times. You ready? 1-844-359-3751. That's for my friends at the Rehabilitation Center. All it takes is a phone call right now to speak to an expert. Get the help you need in your area, day or night. Like right now help. They can give you all the information you need to get in touch with the right people who have one agenda and one agenda only, and that's helping you get better. So call the Rehabilitation Center right now at 1-844-359-3751. My friends at the Rehabilitation Center are well respected as they have a proven track record. Their work has been featured on Fox News, Yahoo Shine, CNBC, Time Magazine, Discovery Communications, and that's just to name a few. So trust me when I say you'll be in good hands. Don't delay. Call the Rehabilitation Center right now and speak to an expert to get yourself on the right track in living a good life. The step forward begins with a call. 1-844-359-3751. Call now, and best of luck to you.
3, 2, 1, Samoa Joe! What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, God damn it! Finn Balor.
Balor.
Oh, are you fucking serious? Fuck off!
3, 2, 1. Are you serious?
No. No.
Are you fucking kidding me? God! I can't believe they just did this again! I can't believe they just did it again!
2, 1. Battle. Fuck.
What?
Joe. If it's Joe, I'm marking up. Joe. What? Oh, fuck off!
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond. Since 2011, you're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
That never gets old. I have been listening to that multiple times today. I've been watching the multiple videos that's been floating around. I got to give a mad shout out to Wrestling Lad for doing that. That was just insanely freaking hilarious. I can't tell you how many times I've been looking at that damn video, and I just was like, yeah, I'm amazed that many people reacted like that. I gotta be straight up honest with you. Of course, those were sound bites that you were hearing from Sunday night's Royal Rumble event. And you know, the best part about doing this show right now for you guys, as it is Tuesday night, January 31st, 2017, we are now basically 2 days removed from the Royal Rumble, and I still feel pretty much the same way that I did Sunday night. Nothing has really changed for me. I don't really think anything has changed for me at all. As far as everything that I had saw, all the reactions that I had gave right after the Royal Rumble went off the air. And by the way, I do thank the many of you that had checked out the special Royal Rumble after show that we did for you guys. We did a simulcast after show. It was on Spreaker, and we also did it on YouTube, where you guys were able to see me in the flesh. Big turnout. I really did appreciate that. I mean, for YouTube, I know because we hadn't gone live in like a good minute on there, like fresh off of a pay-per-view. I wasn't expecting that much of a decent turnout, and I saw there was a decent amount of people that was checking it out live, but the amount of people that pretty much were checking it out once it was available on demand, the stream that is on YouTube, it just picked up like a lot of traffic. I think it almost had broke 3,000 views. Might be continuing on. I'm not really sure right now. I would think at this point everybody has seen the Royal Rumble, but sometimes it just continues to because I guess in other parts of the country they aren't able to watch it at the same time that we're able to, like as far as North America or Canada goes. So I know it's probably going to be a couple of more days before folks are able to find out what exactly came about with the Royal Rumble. But I do appreciate you guys that had checked it out. To the point, we're going to try a little bit of an experiment in the coming weeks. I was talking to the missus about it, and I said, you know, I really just do not have the energy just yet to come on back live Monday nights on YouTube, and then I have to turn right back around Tuesday night, and then I got to do the regular show. And like, I'm just not sold yet on doing something on a Monday night regularly, because a lot of Monday nights are just dragging when it comes to Raw in particular. So my girl was like, well, let me ask you, have you ever done a simulcast before with the radio show on Tuesday nights? Have you ever like just went live on Spreaker and went live on YouTube? I said, nah, usually just for the pay-per-views, but just a standard Tuesday night edition. Nah, I haven't done that. And she was like, well, maybe that's something you should strongly consider. So in the coming weeks, I gotta iron out the kinks, try to find out when we're going to do this, but we're going to try a little bit of an experiment. And basically what you guys, nothing will change for you all that always listen live on Spreaker. The only thing that's going to happen, we're going to try it for about 2, maybe 3 episodes. Basically, you'll get the simulcast on Spreaker, and you'll also be able to see me live on YouTube. Now, if you guys ask me straight up, Lee, which one should I like try to represent? If you've been listening to the show on Spreaker up to this point, live and or on demand, I would say continue to do that. Continue to do that, because it really, really helps when you're checking out the podcast live on Spreaker and or when you're checking it out on Spreaker via on demand on the downloads. It really does help out tremendously. But I think what may end up happening is we'll try to do like a unique YouTube experience in a way where they will only get up to a certain point with the show, and then we're basically going to continue the rest on Spreaker. I think that's really the good way we can do it. We can maybe do some like YouTube exclusive topics or some joint topics, but then like some really, really good topics we'll like keep for the Spreaker. That way it remains intact. So we'll try that. We'll see how it goes. I gotta give a big shout out to Razor. Razor had actually gave me a really cool recommendation Sunday night after the after show was over for the Royal Rumble. He said, man, you know, so you can find questions more quickly in the chats, whether it's on Spreaker or on YouTube, why don't you like come up with some type of symbol or something that the listeners can use when they're in the chat, so that way you know where your questions are. You can just scroll and boom, you can find them just like that. And I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, well, what could we do? What could we do? What could we do? What could we possibly do to try to make that happen? And I just honestly came up with the most simplistic thing, quite honestly. Going forward, beginning tonight and going forward, those of you that check out the show live and you have a question that you like for me to tackle, if you can type up your question, but at the very end, you can put in capital letters, you can either put LS, Lee Sanders. That way I know that's a question that I need to tackle. That would help me out tremendously. Again, a capital LS. If you can't remember to put the capital LS, it at least has to be a LS, but I say capitalized. That way when I'm going through trying to find out if there's any questions I need to tackle, I can just scroll that first go round and I can see big caps at the end of your question, LS. Okay, I need to, that way I kind of have a jump start on what you all are talking about. And of course, you all can always leave a voicemail message over on the website at Infinity One Productions. So, hope your weekend was pretty good. Mine was very relaxing. Did not get a chance to check out the Pro Bowl. I wanted to because I wanted to see all the All-Stars. I definitely had wanted to check out my man Dak Prescott, but it was competing with the Royal Rumble. There was no way that I could. It's just not the same afterwards, like to just watch the pay-per-view and then afterwards try to go watch the Pro Bowl. It just wasn't the same. I see it hardly got any coverage, at least with the local news over here. I'm sure it probably had got a lot of love with ESPN, but going back to the Royal Rumble pay-per-view event, I still feel the same way that I did with regards to what we laid down on the after show, which, by the way, tonight's show is going to be totally different. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. It's because Saturday night, we did the NXT TakeOver after show. Then Sunday night, we did the Royal Rumble after show. And then in between all that, I did special Call That Match editions for both of those events on our Facebook Live page. I did it Facebook Live on our Facebook page, which is at the RCWR Show. You can like that, stay connected with me. Also give me a follow on Twitter as well at the RCWR Show. But a lot of content was pumped out, is the gist of where I'm getting at. And since last we were on the air, not really too much has been going down. So I actually took extra time during the day, because I actually was off work today. So got a little bit of stuff done around the house, kicked back, relaxed a little bit. And I just actually really sat down and thought about some of the topics that I wanted to get into. And, I'm looking at it right now on my screen, and it's very short. So we're going to try to see if we can do about maybe 50 minutes. Might be a little less than that. But at the very end, for those of you that had missed the Royal Rumble after show, that will be attached to this very episode. So as soon as you get done hearing this, what you're getting right now for January 31st, just a nice little pause, and then boom, you're going to get your Royal Rumble after show. So without any further ado, man, let's go ahead, let's jump right into it, get into some of these topics that has been on my mind. Of course, we got to rewind it back to WWE RAW for this week. When it's all said and done, as far as the main takeaways from RAW, really it came down to just what exactly was going to be happening with the verbal exchange / confrontation between Seth Rollins and Stephanie McMahon. Oh, she's going to make him pay. Remember, she dropped the seeds at the Royal Rumble that she was going to go face to face with him on Monday night. Face to face, she would go. I loved their chemistry in the ring. They flowed very well together. I'm almost led to the impression that Seth Rollins, on his downtime, maybe he has spent some type of quality time with Stephanie and Triple H and Vince McMahon. I kind of have that impression. I would be shocked if that really was not the case, because I can actually recall a time when Seth Rollins was very early into his first run as a WWE champion, and he was part of the whole Authority stable, where when it came to his interactions with Stephanie and Triple H, it was very shaky. and Triple H in that early stage of Seth Rollins' run as champion, he was so instrumental in really being a steady hand, a good supporting cast member, and guiding him along. Stephanie McMahon kind of playing within that same role as well. And when you just combine the simplicity of the story arc that Seth Rollins was in, a very simplistic story arc, but when it came to him interacting with all of these individuals, you could just tell that he really was not comfortable. He was trying to find the right pace, the right footing. And it just seems like when you compare that standpoint to where we are now with Seth Rollins, Stephanie McMahon has just gotten better and better as a TV character in due time. Bipolar, no doubt about that. We all can be in agreement of that. But regardless, overall, she is a really good on-air TV character. But to see Seth Rollins' evolution, I really thoroughly enjoyed his exchange with Stephanie McMahon. And I love how at the very end, she was like, Seth, I lied. It turns out Triple H, he is on his way here. And he is going to be confronting you face to face later tonight. I was like, okay, now the show is getting interesting, because I gotta be honest, the show just really felt like it was dragging on Monday night, which is really weird too, because normally the night after the Royal Rumble, you expect to see so much. And I think we all can be in agreement that the Raw after Wrestlemania, the Raw after a Royal Rumble, the Raw after a Survivor Series, the Raw after SummerSlam, normally you get something that's pretty significant. You normally get something that's very monumental, like you can't miss. So to see that there was really with the Royal Rumble, with respect to the Royal Rumble, to not come away saying, hey, I got a couple of surprise entrants. I mean, other than the AJ Styles, John Cena match, the Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns match, everything was pretty much kind of lackluster with regards to that pay-per-view. The Royal Rumble match itself, we all can be in agreement. It definitely was poorly booked. I tell you what, that was really a great swerve, though, that they did to the WWE crowd. But I just feel for Roman Reigns. I do want to touch upon, and I actually get into it a lot more during the Royal Rumble after show, but I just really want to make sure I set the record straight. And I know I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit, guys, but just indulge me, okay? Because it does blend into the talk of Raw that we got for this week. I have always said, since the moment that the Shield had came to the scene, and when it came to the discussion of Roman Reigns, I have always personally felt that Roman Reigns, yeah, no doubt, has a very big, bright future ahead of him. He's got multiple championship runs in his future. Yes, he can be one of the faces of the company for years to come. WWE just has to play it smart, play it superb with his booking. Let it be a natural, organic story that you have play out before the eyes of the wrestling fans. Don't go too fast. Just go at the right pace. And WWE, they really had fucked that up big time after they had broke up the Shield. We all understand why they broke up the Shield, because they believed that there was more money to be made off of those guys individually. And to WWE's credit, they were right from that standpoint. But when it came time for Roman Reigns to get involved in the whole main event picture, his title run, fans just were not feeling that. They really felt in unison that, and I really want to make sure that we set the record straight. The fans that were very vocal in their displeasure for Roman Reigns had that displeasure and discontent because they felt that this was not a organic, natural run that they were seeing play out before their very eyes. And the last thing that a consumer wants to be told is, no, fuck what you like. This is what you need to like. Learn how to live with it. Learn how to love it. That's the last thing that a consumer wants to be told, especially when they're the ones that are the ultimate consumer. They're spending their money. They're paying their tickets at these gates. They're the ones buying the merchandise. They're the ones going to the pay-per-views, the house shows, etc. They want to make sure that their voices are being heard. They are the ultimate consumer. And yes, I know the whole saying, well, if they don't care, there's always 10. That's true. But to be in a position where you can continue to tap into that household's pockets, and you're doing it right on all cylinders, you got you a fan for life right there. You got you a consumer for life. So I understand where the frustration came from fans that really felt as though Roman Reigns was just really being fucking shoved down their throats, and they just could not stand it. They felt like it was the second coming of John Cena, and they pretty much, a vast majority of them, had enough of John Cena. So I definitely understand that. And then, of course, we go through that period where Roman Reigns was doing his whole hickory dickory dock, look at you now, won't you suck on my cock rhymes? And everybody was like, what the fuck is this shit? What is this silly, stupid shit? They weren't feeling that. So that just, right when you were starting to like the guy, when he was in the Shield, man, a few words, whooping people's asses, powerbombing people through tables, you're like, man, that's a badass dude. Then they started doing all this weird and silly booking, and it just made fans just cringe altogether. And then, there was that period where you had Roman Reigns. He kind of came off as though maybe he was going to, at one point, spear the hell out of Stephanie McMahon. Didn't happen, but my God, a lot of fans were like, yes, go there, go there, go there. His feud with Triple H, remember that? And he was feuding with the Authority. We all thought for certain maybe at some point Roman was going to turn. It did not happen. We're like, okay, well, hey, this feud that we got with him and the Authority and him trying to stick it to Triple H, trying to get the big payback. Okay, well, this seems to be, and everything from that point going forward really came off as though, okay, you know what? WWE kind of realizes they messed up with Roman Reigns a little bit. They're trying to redeem fans as far as their faith in Roman Reigns, the way that they booked him. They're trying to get that renewed faith, that renewed commitment. Okay, well, let's see how this plays out. And it seemed like, booking-wise, Roman was finally starting to get on that path. But then, once again, and I thought the greatest move that WWE had did was, okay, you know what? Let's take the belt off of him. We don't need him being the face of the company right now. He will get his time in the sun, but you know what? For now, since it's so vocal and we can't really get this guy over the way we want to, all right, let's play it by the fans for now. Let's play it by the ears. Let's have Roman take a back seat. Had that long-ass feud going on with Rusev. Eventually he gets the United States title. And it really seemed as though Roman was finally like, if you just really stop and pay attention to the past couple of months that you've seen Roman really was coming off as though, okay, the hating is dying down a bit. All right, this is good. He's getting more cheers. Okay, this is okay. All right, look at the smart booking here. Okay, they're pairing him up with Seth Rollins. All right, he's coming to Seth Rollins' aid. Okay, this is on point. All right, we can kind of get behind that. All right, no problem. Just when it seemed like they were finally starting to turn a corner in a positive direction with Roman Reigns. Almost like a couple of years ago when he got the number of the Royal Rumble and he was getting booed and turned out he won the damn thing and he got booed out that damn arena. WWE booking stupidity 101. They put him at number 30. As if we thought it was bad that 1 year when Rey Mysterio was still with the company. Remember that Royal Rumble? Rey Mysterio was number 30 and they booed the shit out of him. And we were like, damn. And I remember so many people, so many fans that loved them some Rey Mysterio. Even I remember on that Aftershow, even I was like, man, look, all the contributions that Rey Mysterio has made to the sport of pro wrestling. And for him to get disliked, he didn't choose that number. They told him, this is the number you're going to be coming out at. Go ahead, do your thing. So for Roman to be in that spot. Now look, we won't know unless somebody, Peter Rosenberg or Sam Roberts, we won't really know unless Roman Reigns sits down and talks to them. But I'm curious if Roman, when he first found out you got the last spot, you're number 30, if he was vocal in any type of way, if he said, hey, look, I normally don't question you guys, but are you guys sure that this is the crowd we can pull this off with? You sure I ain't going to be going into hostile territory here? I'm very curious. I'm very curious if that was even discussed, if Roman tried to get them to change their mind, or if whoever was doing the booking, if they tried to be vocal. And, you know, you kind of know a Vince McMahon touch when you see it and when you feel it, and it just really feels like maybe this was the doing of Vince McMahon to put Roman at number 30. But I really feel for that young man, Roman Reigns. I mean, he's only a couple of years younger than me, but he's a younger man than me. I really feel for the guy because he didn't ask to be in that position. He did not ask to be put in that situation where he came out to a hostile environment. And it's unfortunate that the guy is getting a lot of flap right now. Now, I give credit to those that know their wrestling, they're smart about their wrestling, and they pretty much say, hey, look, I ain't got nothing personal against Roman Reigns. I just got a personal problem with the way that the shit was booked. Unfortunately, you have individuals that the lines are blurred. The lines are about the same. So, you know, a lot of them, they can't separate, hey, this is just a guy I see on my TV that's playing this character that by a team of creators, writers, bookers, you know, they did this to this guy. You know, they don't know how to differentiate the two and make sure that they keep them separate when they're offering their constructive criticism, their critique. So I really feel for Roman because when it's all said and done, ever since I first saw him pop up on the main roster, work has always been consistent, always delivered good quality matches. You just go back, you look at his tenure, the man has always delivered. When it comes to those pay-per-view one-on-one matches, it seems like he has a fire lit up under his ass and he's got to take it that next step. And his match against fucking Kevin Owens, honestly, the fact that the fans were into it, they were kind of, okay, all right, Roman, all right, no problem. That should have been fucking it. Roman should have just been chilling in the back. That should have been it. But instead, whatever momentum he was building, it was sabotaged. And so much so, I can't help but wonder if with all the disdain that is now back up to the forefront for a lot of WWE fans, if now maybe is the time you just go on ahead and capitalize on this hatred that this guy has. I mean, you look at all the videos of people giving their Royal Rumble reactions, and I mean, they are ape shit like, fuck this guy. And, you know, I am a sucker. I've always been a sucker for this, and I've been telling you guys this off and on for a couple of years now, which is I just have that old school mentality. I am a sucker for go out there and get some type of freaking reaction. If it's good, if it's bad, as long as you get reaction, because the ultimate insult to your career as a pro wrestler is to go out there and you're not making any type of a connection with that fan base. You are not able to rouse up any type of a reaction from the crowd, because when it's all said and done, when you can go out there and you can get those reactions from that crowd, that determines your longevity. Straight up, that determines your longevity. So you gotta go out there and you gotta do what you gotta do. I ain't saying it's gonna be a masterpiece overnight. You gotta work at it. You gotta find out, you know, what works, what's not working. And I like the new WWE 2K game that's out right now, because there's that part in the game where you have these little call-out verbal matches with people. You know, you're throwing it down on the microphone and you get like these options. You're trying to string it along while at the same time keeping the WWE fans engaged and entertained, and the gauge will go up when you're stringing along the right combination of statements, insults, whatever. And I just can't stress that enough. So I can't help but wonder, now more than ever, if with all the reactions that's coming about with Roman Reigns, if maybe WWE should kind of take a step back and maybe say, you know what? Maybe we should go the heel route with this guy. This guy's so freaking hate. Maybe we should have this guy go over as a heel. And if you're going to have him go over as a heel, you already planted the seeds in there as far as what went down with him giving that stare down to The Undertaker and then saying to him, this is my yard now, man. I mean, me personally, when I saw it, look, was I looking for a Finn Balor? Yes. Was I even looking for a Kurt Angle? Yes. Was I looking for a Samoa Joe? Yeah. I mean, they showed him at TakeOver. I thought for sure, okay, well, maybe Samoa Joe might get involved. Nakamura, Nog, the way he was injured. But when Roman Reigns' music hit and he came out, I mean, I didn't hate. I didn't say fuck Roman Reigns. The first thing, no bullshit, guys, and my girl will tell you this. The first thing I said when this guy came out, I said, oh man, not again. Not again. Like, how could they do this to this young man? Are you serious? All the time that they put in to try to get this guy majority over with the fans, and now you're right back at square zero, right? You're right back at the finish line, at the starting line. I fell for that young man, but I've never wavered in how I felt about Roman Reigns, and on this very day, I still feel in my heart of hearts he is the way to go. He will be the face of the company for years to come. He's going to have multiple championship reigns. They just got to get the fucking booking smart. I think now more than ever, you need to capitalize on all this hatred that's come about with Roman Reigns. And I mean, if it was me personally and we're just looking ahead to WrestleMania, I would love to see Roman Reigns get in the face of The Undertaker. I would love to see Roman Reigns cut a heel-like douchebag asshole freaking promo, bashing the John Cenas, the Undertakers, the Brock Lesnars, the Goldbergs. I would love to see him go there and get an Undertaker roused up and all that, and boom, you pretty much got your instant feud right there, because Undertaker is basically like, man, how many souls I've buried at WrestleMania. You know how many punk rookies I've come across like you, who I've been able to put in their place, and they've respected me as a result in tasting defeat at my hands. I mean, you pretty much got like an instant feud right there. I think if you pretty much go in that direction in a way where, remember when we had Thugonomics John Cena and just how he was totally an asshole to The Undertaker. If we can kind of have Roman Reigns almost go that route, but a new interpretation, switch it up, freshen it up, make it lively, do that in a way where it gets a lot of folks talking, hype it up, lead it up to that WrestleMania match, have Roman Reigns come out in some new gear. I mean, he's got a phenomenal body up under there, to the point, anybody that plays the new WWE Champions game, and I'll actually talk about that a little bit later in the show, when you play that Champions game, you can see a early Roman Reigns. You can actually play as an early NXT Roman Reigns in trunks. And a lot of people forget that this guy at one point, he was in trunks and knee pads, and he looked pretty damn good. So maybe you kind of go into that zone leading up into Mania. That way you kind of have like a new direction going for Roman. And who knows, maybe that will eventually get him to the dance as a world heavyweight champion again, where he is accepted amongst the fans. I'm not really sure. You just got to play it out, wait it out, see what goes down. But I tell you, it was really awesome as far as Raw goes this week. I loved the continuation of basically Roman Reigns. He interferes in that main event match for the WWE Universal title, as it was between Kevin Owens taking on Braun Strowman. Braun pulled that card. He said, hey man, you told me that if I helped you out, you give me a shot at that title. Kevin Owens saying, I don't really remember that. What the hell are you talking about? And for Braun Strowman to have enough common sense to tell the monkeys in the back, hey, pull up that footage from blah, 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 blah in advance, and we see it. That was great. storyline continuity right there. I love that. Of course, you could see it a mile away that during that main event, Roman Reigns was probably going to come out, interfere in that, because after all, look at what went down at the Rumble. Enough said. So, I had no problem with that. It played out exactly the way that it needed to play out. They're continuing to do really great, smart booking with Braun Strowman. I love the fact that Kevin Owens was protected in the process as well. But I'm really starting to get to that point now. As big of a fan as I am of Kevin Owens, I'm getting to that point right now where I'm a bit tired of this whiny crybaby of a champion. I really am. I mean, let's be brutally honest. You take away Chris Jericho, and there's no telling what would be happening with Kevin Owens right now as far as his title run. I honestly believe that his title run would have been up a long time ago. Finn Balor in the picture or no Finn Balor in the picture, either that title would have went right back to Seth Rollins, or love it or hate it, you just gonna have to learn to deal with it. Roman Reigns would have had the title again. Chris Jericho did more for Kevin Reigns during his first run currently as a Universal Champion than we will ever truly know. And that is literally, no pun intended, the gift of Jericho. Jericho just has the ability to just always stay relevant. He's always witty. He is always doing his best to reinvent himself, getting people talking, always able to stay within that limelight. He never just settles on, okay, I'm doing my thing over here with the WWE. No, he's going and doing his thing with Fozzy. Okay, he's not being content with that. He's writing a book. Nah, he's not content with just being an author. He also wants to go host some TV shows. Oh, okay, well, he's not just content with that. He wants to also go do some radio shows. Okay, no, he ain't content with that. He wants to do some YouTube shows or whatever. I mean, the guy is just, his brain just goes like 1,000 miles per hour. A king of innovation, I must admit. And I tell you, it's going to be a sad day when it comes, because it's coming. Jericho already revealed that he's under a new contract right now with the WWE, and that pretty much the way that it's been worked out, he's going to be sticking around until at least shortly after WrestleMania, I believe up until May. Fozzy's going to be going on tour. They got a new album that they're going to be working on. Love their last album. All their albums are superb, but I love the last two albums that they put out. It's going to be a really interesting tale, I must admit. But I'm really not enjoying this last tail end of Kevin Owens' run. I really feel that come WrestleMania time, he's going to lose that strap. He's definitely going to lose that strap. Whether or not he loses it to a Goldberg or between now and then, or he loses it to a Roman, Seth Rollins, or a Finn Balor, that remains to be seen right now. But to see the Seth Rollins segment where Triple H called him out, I love that promo that Triple H set out there. I mean, that was just old school Triple H at his finest, cutting an asshole type of promo. I loved it. For me, because I've always been a big fan of Triple H, yes, I will admit, I definitely was not a fan of the Triple H show when he was burying people left and right. Wasn't a fan of that whatsoever. But long before the whole NXT thing had went down, I'm proud to say, like, probably 5 years before he really started making that transition into being a corporate guy, I just really kind of was like, I'm really kind of appreciating Triple H. And I think at that point I kind of saw, like, all right, he's trying to pass the torch a little bit. He's trying to pass on what he's learned. He's trying to, okay, I see what he's doing. All right, no problem. And I think I finally started to kind of turn a corner a little bit. I would say really, it was definitely right before him and Shawn Michaels did the DX thing one last time. It was a little bit before then. I was starting to see a change in his demeanor. And I think at that point, there was probably at least 2 kids in the picture. So I kind of saw a change in his demeanor, and I'm like, okay. And I'm sure even he would admit that as far as booking decisions go, there was definitely some that he had made when it's all said and done. But I tell you, that was a really great promo with Seth Rollins, and then Seth coming out. Looks as though we're going to see Seth, Triple H get it on, and then wham, out of nowhere, Samoa fucking Joe. I know fucking is usually reserved for Seth freaking or Seth fucking Rollins, but seriously, Samoa fucking Joe. That was awesome. Did not see it coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming. I did not see anybody in wrestling forums, in Facebook group chats. I didn't see anybody, YouTube. I didn't see anybody saying Samoa Joe's going to show up on Monday's Raw. Everybody, when it came to the talk of Samoa Joe, they were like, Royal Rumble. He's going to show up at the Royal Rumble. And so to not see him show up at the Royal Rumble, you know, you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But to see him show up and the reaction that he had got, you know, it wasn't like out of 100%. It wasn't like 90%. If I had to rate the crowd reactions to him, it felt like a strong 70, maybe a 72% of the crowd knew exactly who he was. And hopefully that number that I put out there, hopefully that's not including the people that was pretty much like right in front, pretty much near the main speakers and all that. But it really kind of came off as though at least about 70%. I'll say 65 just to be on the safe side. Felt as though 65% of the crowd knew who this guy was. They're chanting his name. I loved it. That was fucking awesome. And I tell you, man, when I think about a guy like Samoa Joe, he did wonders in NXT. And I've always felt that with guys like Bobby Roode, with guys like AJ Styles, Austin Aries, Cowboy James Storm, I believe I already said Samoa Joe, Eric Young, Abyss, I always felt that these guys, like, come on, stop playing around already. Don't be content with that TNA money. Put it to the side. Jump out there. Get some feelers out there. See if you can actually do what you need to do to get in the door for the WWE. See if you can actually do the damn thing. Don't live life having regrets. That was like my whole thing to these guys. You know, to the point that, like, you know, I've told a few friends that has been involved in the wrestling business over the years, you know, those that are no longer in the business, but definitely to those that, you know, that were fortunate enough to either be involved in the business all the way up to now currently, or they were in it for a hot cup of coffee. I used to always tell them, any opportunities that you have to do what you need to do to get good with a promotion, you know, they want you to come in, they want to see what you're about. You know, for me, it didn't matter if it was WWE, ROH, TNA, whatever. Just the fact that you got the opportunity there. Don't be content on what you're already doing on the side. Like, you should always strive for better. You should always want more in life. Never live life full of regrets. So, better late than ever. That's my main theme for a lot of these guys that we're seeing now coming into the WWE from TNA. Better late than ever. But Samoa Joe, I love the reactions that he had got. And I tell you, the way that WWE has been handling these TNA alumni, from pretty much what really got the ball going, really, when you really rewind it back, God, I think we all got to trace it back to AJ Styles, if I'm not mistaken. No, Samoa Joe, forgive me. Samoa Joe, then AJ Styles. So, and I tell you, it's a great testament. I feel that WWE has just really changed on their position as far as like talents from TNA and other promotions over the years. They got a really good team that is in place that is scouting out these talents, and I'm glad that we're kind of now at that point where there's no more discrimination, quite honestly. And I got to give a lot of props to the WWE, but I love that. I love that Samoa Joe was doing his thing. Now, of course, for a lot of TNA alumni, I know they're probably upset, and you know, but surely you understand, because y'all gotta admit, TNA Wrestling, they've been in some growing pains right now. And I'll talk a little bit about TNA next week. I did catch up on a couple of episodes I had recorded on DVR.
Got a lot to say, but I'm going to hold that off until next week. I got some constructive criticism to offer to TNA. But I tell you what, man, I know there's going to be a lot of fans that may be new to Samoa Joe for the very first time. I tell you what, if I am TNA Wrestling, I'm capitalizing on this. Do your little best of Samoa Joe compilation DVD, somewhat similar to what you did for AJ Styles. You got Don West now back in there. Yeah, you need to capitalize on that. All that archive footage that you have with Samoa Joe's matches, you need to go on ahead. You need to make it happen already. Seriously. So, other than that, those spots from Monday Night Raw, some other stuff that had went down. Brock Lesnar was in the house. Paul Heyman cutting that promo. I felt it was a little bit too drawn out. I get it. Brock Lesnar is the baddest fucking man on the planet. Yeah, but Goldberg had took him out. I get it. I get it. You know, it's almost like I've got the biggest dick that's on me. I mean, I'm packing some serious fucking heat. Yeah, but you don't know how to fuck a girl really good with it. Sorry, ladies. I'm just throwing an analogy out there. You know, sorry if your ears are bleeding right now, but just keeping it real. I think y'all could be in agreement that watch Raw this week. That Heyman segment, as good as it was a bit too long. It was a bit too drawn out. It's like, okay, we get it. We're not that slow. Don't treat us like we're that naive, okay? String it along. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, hey, we got to kill some time, quite honestly. Hey, Paul, go out there and kill about 20 minutes. I honestly believe that on many cases, that's what goes down. But I love the fact that the challenge was put out there to Bill Goldberg. Hey, you, Lesnar, one more time, WrestleMania. Almost kind of has a Stone Cold Steve Austin, Dwayne The Rock Johnson vibe to it. What was The Rock never able to do at WrestleMania with Stone Cold? He was never able to beat him. Bonafide career and everything, but he had that one asterisk, which was right beside Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was never able to beat that bald-headed candy ass, as he said it best, to Stone Cold at a WrestleMania, and he finally got it done. I feel that's what's going to be happening. That's the story that's going to be played out. I'm all fine for this match. Some people kind of had a little bit of a snicker saying, yeah, be fine with this match since it's just going to be a minute long. Honestly, I'm hoping that for this being it, this is it, one last time. I hope the fans, for their patience, they are rewarded with at least a 10 to 15 minute match. I hope that we can get that. So between now, we got 61 days left before WrestleMania. You know Brock's going to be doing this thing. Hopefully Goldberg is doing his damn thing. We know Goldberg, Brock, they're friends. They're very friendly with one another. Sure, they'll probably hook up between now and then, work out whatever kinks or whatever like that. But I'm curious to see how things go with next week's Raw, as Goldberg is going to be showing up to respond to the Lesnar challenge. Hopefully he does not have a butchering segment like he did last week. We now know that he had rammed his head into a locker a few times, pretty much almost gave himself a downright freaking concussion. But hey, it is what it is. So that was good. Other than that, I'm trying to figure out if anything else from Raw had interested me this week. And honestly, no. There really wasn't anything else that really caught my eye that I should even spend a few minutes talking about. I tolerated the Cesaro Sheamus Bailey taking on Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Charlotte. You know, that was pretty decent. But I love the Cruiserweight title match between Neville and Rich Swann. I had enjoyed that one. That was pretty. Actually, you know what? Wait a minute. Actually, let me think about that. No. Rich Swann actually came out and he was talking about how he had a rematch coming to him. He was actually trying to talk down, not in a negative way, but he was trying to shed some light to Neville that, hey man, the fans don't hate you. They respect the hell out of you. They respect your talents. All this hating that you're doing. It's just all in your mind. It's not really what you think is out there. And he actually tried to be a good sport, congratulate him on the title win and all that, but Neville wasn't having it. Those two ended up going back and forth for a hot minute. Got nothing but positivity to say about Braun Strowman. Sasha Banks had her rematch against Nia Jax. Nia Jax pretty much made quick work of her. Very weird, though, because, like, we see in the closing moments of that match, we see Nia Jax. I mean, she is just strong-arming the hell out of Sasha Banks. But, like, you hear the bell ring, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Is somebody throwing the match out? What happens? And the referee appears to have said something to the timekeeper, but Nia Jax, like, she didn't break the hold. So, you know, you kind of see that going. It was a very weird, it was very awkward ending. You're kind of like led to the impression of, did Bayley have anything to do with getting a message out to the timekeeper to stop the match, or what? It was really, really weird, I must admit, but really wasn't anything else I could take away from Raw this week. Congratulations to, WWE Raw, by the way. They did pretty well in the ratings. They got a pretty big viewership. First that they've gotten since, like, I believe last year's WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to them. Curious to see how SmackDown did it. By the way, we polled you guys. Wanted to know, what did you all think of WWE Raw for this week? You got about 4 days left to cast your vote. You can do so right now on our Twitter page over at the RCWR Show. It's a pinned tweet. You'll know it when you see it. And right now we got 10% of the votes saying that it was very lackluster. We have 27% of you that felt that it was an awesome show. We have, looks like 30% of you said the ending was the only good thing. So really home in on that. The two, it's almost a tie right now. So we got 33% at average show, and we got 30% saying ending was the only good thing. By the way, I appreciate and I'm pulling it up right now, I believe there was about over 100 of you guys that had cast your vote. I'm actually pulling it up right now. We had asked you, what did you all think about Sunday's Royal Rumble? Yes, got about 3 days left. We're actually one off from 100. I'd be really happy if we can get over 100. Actually, what did you all think about the Royal Rumble for this weekend that we had got? Let me see if I can do a retweet. Let's see if we can try to get another vote in there. So right now we got about 19% that felt it was an awesome pay-per-view. 25% of you felt that the NXT TakeOver event was better than the Royal Rumble. 27% of you felt that it was an average pay-per-view. And 29% of you felt that it was a terrible pay-per-view and it was a terrible Rumble match. So, I mean, if you want to get kind of technical, it's almost a tie right now. When you look at the 27, that's 27% for average, 25 for NXT TakeOver was better, 29 for terrible pay-per-view, terrible Rumble match. It's almost like a triple tie right there, with the 19% standing out the most at awesome pay-per-view. And there was 99 people that had cast their vote on that. Speaking of casting their vote, you know, we cast or rather we extended our voting for the 2016 Wrestling Awards. Make sure you all cast your vote. Gives you an opportunity to let your voices be heard. You pick whoever you feel is deserving of Match of the Year, Feud of the Year, etc. Head over to tinyurl.com/2016 RCWR Awards. You have the capabilities of entering a really cool contest where you could win not one, not two, not three, but 5 wrestling DVDs, be it past, present, or future. So that's some really cool stuff right there. SmackDown this week, pretty good. We pretty much had saw the foundation put out there for the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. That's going to be coming up in less than 2 weeks. We have an idea now on how the card is going to be looking for that Elimination Chamber. The way the card is looking right now, it's as follows. For your main event match for the WWE Championship, it's going to be John Cena defending his title against AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin, Miz, and Dean Ambrose. Another match that was made was Nikki Bella taking on Natalya. And there's going to be a tag team turmoil match for the SmackDown tag titles, as American Alpha will be defending against the Usos, the Ascension, the Vaudevillains, and Breezango, along with Heath Slater and Rhino. Main takeaway from SmackDown tonight, honestly, just the foundation that was put out there for the Elimination Chamber that's going to be coming about. Also, I'm just trying to think about some of the matches that we had got. There was a really good tag match where we saw Becky Lynch and Naomi. They defeated the team of Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, if I'm not mistaken. That was a pretty good tag matchup right there. I'm trying to hold off a little bit more on Mickie James, but I tell you, it's kind of feeling a little bit lackluster right now when I think about how her return has fared so far since she's come back to the main brand. I mean, because basically when you kind of think about it, she's playing a little bit of a second fiddle to Alexa Bliss right now. I thoroughly enjoyed the opening match, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, taking on the team of Luke Harper, John Cena. I love that. Looks like Luke Harper's kind of branching off, going into that solo route. I'm really liking that. Wyatt family picking up the win on that one. So I kind of see what they're trying to do with my man James Ellsworth with Carmella. It's an interesting little experiment, but the fans just do not give a damn, sadly. And look, I'm happy for James Ellsworth. I mean, he's right here from the DMV area, so I always try to show a lot of appreciation to fellow DMV residents and all that. But I got to tell you, to have him basically come out there and be the hype boy for Carmella, I'm kind of like, okay, you know what? I can see this. I can kind of understand going in this direction, because you basically have James Ellsworth come out and he's pretty much introducing Carmella. Kind of cut a little bit of a heelish promo when he was trying to get attention from the crowd. I like that. I liked all that. But if I were to make a suggestion, you're going to have James Ellsworth come out there. He's going to do all that fucking hype, right? You got to do something with Carmella's music. You don't have her song kick off with that damn tempo beat. Boom, 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 boom. That's just too fucking long. I think, honestly, Jim Johnson, splice it up. Edit that joint a little bit. If you're going to continue to have James Ellsworth introduce her, honestly, the way you need to just kick it off, I would edit it in a way where you remove that boom, 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 boom. Because the crowd's not really sure what to do at that point. Crop that, take that out. Don't even put the FA, don't even put that in there, because the minute that folks hear that, okay, it's time for me to go take a piss. It's time for me to go to the concession stand. Honestly, anybody remember Stephanie McMahon's old song, I'm All Grown Up? I think it kind of almost sounds a little similar to that song. I would actually edit Homegirl song in a way where you're pretty much like right into the first verse. I was actually paying attention to her intro and I was listening to the music, because I just have that keen ear. Sometimes, like, especially like when I'm in post-production and I'm editing audio and it's like, okay, let me take that out, let me splice that, and let me merge that with this. That's what Jim Johnson needs to do right now. And they're capable of doing it, because a prime example of that, anybody notice Neville, his music, it was tweaked a bit. Remember when he would first come out, it would go wow, 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 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and now you kind of have like a more sinister kind of. It's kind of like sounds like a nasty, heavy guitar almost with some bass in there, and then now it's just You don't even hear the 1, the 2, the 3. So I like that. Jim Johnson needs to hook that up a little bit. I don't mind it if you want to keep doing the whole FAB. You can spell that out, but when you first have her come out, you got to really set the tone, man. You got to. You got to, man. Other than that, though, yeah, nothing really jumped out at me from SmackDown this week. I almost forgot that American Alpha had the tag titles because, I mean, let's be honest, we hadn't seen them in weeks. We hadn't seen Usos in weeks, so it's great to see them back. Fuck, I'll go a step further. I almost forgot that there was a damn a tag team division, quite honestly, because it was like right after Slater and Rhino, and then like right after Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt had the titles. Just seemed to get lost in the shuffle, man. So, but pretty good that we got for this week. Decent WWE programming as far as who had the overall better show. For me, it's about a tie. Quite honestly, it's really about a tie. So let's look at this WrestleMania card that we have coming about so far, and it's looking pretty good. So WrestleMania, we know that we're gonna have Brock Lesnar taking on Bill Goldberg. We got reports that's floating around that it looks as though we're possibly going to be seeing Roman Reigns take on The Undertaker. Honestly, and you know, I checked out a little bit more of the footage from the Royal Rumble. I'm a little bit concerned about The Undertaker. I gotta be honest. A lot of people were like, oh, Undertaker is fat. And it's like, well, he's about 50 years of age. What the fuck do you expect? I personally didn't have a problem with the weight. What I'm more concerned and interested in is how is his mobility? Because he recently had some surgery. He's been having, nagging injuries for years now. And, he looked pretty, I think the word that's going around, he looked pretty at a stalemate. He looked like he was mainly trying to stay stationary. He wasn't trying to take any significant bumps. He didn't even do his trademark catwalk on the top rope. So I'm not really sure how this match would play out against Roman Reigns, if that's the direction that they're going to be going in. Because the way Undertaker has always operated, he's always been a striker, but he can definitely come at you from a technical standpoint. So it would be, I'm picturing it in my head, Roman would really have to complement Undertaker's style if he is as injured as we're kind of led to believe based off what we've seen footage-wise. So if that's the case, Roman's going to have to really play down to Undertaker's style to complement him, and I just have this biggest fear that that match may get booed. And the last thing I want at WrestleMania 33, which is going to be happening in front of a Florida crowd, is those guys to be booed. That's the last thing I want. So I hope that it doesn't go in that direction. I mean, on paper, you're like, Undertaker, Roman. Yeah, this sounds good. But seeing the current physical state of the Undertaker that we've been getting, like in the past 3 years, it's like, yeah, if we were maybe to do this 5 years ago, yeah, sure, maybe. Now, some people say, well, Lee, you think it's possible that maybe Sting might... No. No, I don't see it. I do not see it happening. And if the reports are accurate, if it's really true that Undertaker needs to get more surgery, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. I had got an interesting question, and the question was, what did I think about WWE doing a AJ Styles, John Cena, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton fatal 4-way at Mania for the title? That's too many cooks in the kitchen. You remember, guys, you got to kill a lot of hours at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going to be a 4-hour show. So you want for me to look at all of these talents in one match. Sorry, you got to stretch that card out. No, I do not see that happening whatsoever. And a little bit of fun trivia for you guys. including with tonight's SmackDown, Randy Orton and John Cena have now faced each other for a total of 79 times. 79. That's 79. 79 times John Cena, Randy Orton at some point have faced each other in the WWE. Make it number 80, as it's going to be coming about next week. Supposedly they're going to have a one-on-one match. I kind of see a little bit of interference happening in that respected matchup. I wouldn't really be too surprised. Maybe Luke Harper had got involved or something like that. But if you ask me what the end result is going to be, I honestly believe that John Cena will lose the title at the Elimination Chamber. I personally feel that Bray Wyatt, just the way the storyline is going, and you can make the argument that it kind of feels a little bit forced, or you can just, okay, show me something new, show me something fresh, show me something that's going to make me go, okay, I can kind of get behind this. And the story that I'm kind of seeing is, I believe Bray Wyatt's going to win the strap at the Elimination Chamber. Randy Orton will then officially reveal his true colors, which is always from the get-go, he just wanted to dismantle the Wyatt family from within, and at some point he was gonna cut ties with Bray Wyatt when the timing was right. And I just personally kind of feel as though Randy Orton, I just see a story arc like that. Now, some of you guys may say, well, wait a minute, Lee. Why wouldn't Randy Orton turn on Bray like right now? Because Luke Harper is like pretty much, you gotta stir the pot up just a little bit more. You gotta do it a little bit more. You can't just, because you can easily kind of have them regroup. I think Randy Orton is continuing to stay, storyline wise, of course. I think Randy Orton is continuing to stay with Bray Wyatt just long enough to really gain that trust, really put that separation gap between themselves and Luke Harper, to really make sure that he's just off on his own. He's not looking back. And from what we saw of SmackDown tonight, you can kind of tell that Luke Harper really didn't want to have anything to do with the fucking match that we had tonight. So, but yeah, I don't think you should do that at WrestleMania. Having all those guys in one match and then you got to kill 4 hours. Nah, that's not how I would do it. Now, join me on Facebook Live later this week. I'll actually offer my ideas on, if I was booking it, what matches should play out at this year's WrestleMania. I think you guys would be quite pleased with what I have to do. I see some of the questions that I got right now. At least there's like 2 questions. Remember, if you guys have a question you'd like for me to tackle, put it out there, but at the very end, like in parentheses, you could just put a capital LS just to kind of follow up on what I said earlier in the show. I think that's the best way you can do that. That way, when I'm scrolling, I can just, okay, boom, there's a question. Boom, there's a question. Okay, boom. We're doing good so far. Look, I mean, I've already gone through half the stuff that I wanted to talk about on the show, and we've almost been on for about an hour. So again, just to recap for you guys, because I really do not have that many more topics I want to get into for this week, because we did a lot of wrestling stuff all throughout the weekend and on Facebook, all that good jazz. At the end of this very episode, for those of you guys that missed it, we'll actually play for you guys in its entirety the Royal Rumble after show. It was a fantastic after show. I received private messages, a lot of love on YouTube. I actually had a lot of people send me private messages via YouTube, asking me if I wanted to do collaborations. Some were like, hey, it's great to see you back on YouTube. If you're going to be doing this regularly, love to have you come, help me out. It was really nice. It was a really, really great turnout. Well received. Last I checked, I think on YouTube, it almost got like, it's either at 3,000 or it's a little bit over 3,000. And there was only like 6 dislikes. And I was like, wow, okay, this is good. This is on point. So definitely it's worth listening to in its entirety, let me tell you. So make sure you stick around for that. That's going to be really fucking solid. But let me get into some of these other topics that caught my eye. Of course, probably one of the big topics that's been going down since last we were on the air here. Bear with me a second here, guys. Yeah, since last we were on the air here, this Donald Trump firing of Sally Yates, who was the acting attorney general. She was appointed by Obama back in 2015. President Trump, let me show the proper respect. President Trump had fired Sally Yates after she defied the White House and refused to defend his travel ban that is in effect right now. She would say, and I quote, "My responsibility is to ensure that the position of the Department of Justice is not only legally defensible, but is informed by our best view of what the law is after consideration of all the facts. At present, I am not convinced that the defense of the executive order is consistent with these responsibilities, nor am I convinced that the executive order is lawful." So that's what she had to say with regards to that. Now, we got to keep in mind, this girl, well, respectfully, this woman is on her way out the door anyway, because Trump is bringing his own people. He doesn't want any Obama residue, okay? Trump, hey, this is his right. If he feels that, hey, you're not trying to do what I'm trying to do, hey, look, you're only here temporary anyway. I got somebody that's getting ready to come. If you're going to act like this, I don't need you. I don't need you. Don't let the door hit you on the ass. I don't need you. That's his right. If he wants to fire them, that is fine. You're getting an order from your boss. You don't want to do it. Typically, you know what? That's what happens. When you don't obey your superior officer, you are on grounds of a suspension and or termination. That's just how it goes for a lot of in a lot of industries, for a lot of employers. So I have no problem with Trump doing that. But where I do have a problem with Trump, the comment that he said about Miss Yates after he fired her, and you can't make this shit up. Miss Yates is an Obama admin appointee who is weak on borders and very weak on illegal immigration. And immediately after that, he appointed a new acting attorney general, Dana J. Boente. So there's no reason to say all that shit. Hey, look, I understand Miss Yates' position. She understands my position. It's unfortunate that we were not able to meet a common ground, but I wish her the very best in her future endeavors. Keep it classy. Keep it moving along. Take the high road. You want to say, that fucking bitch, you want to do all that shit? You can do all that behind closed doors. No reason for you to just look so distasteful like this in front of the media. Seriously. Yucky. That's all I got to say. Speaking about this ban, I just, and I'm trying to do you guys a solid. It's like, unless President Trump or something in politics is just like, it's got everybody talking, and I know there's like a lot of you guys that's like, Lee, what's your 2 cents about, unless it's got people really talking and is that buzzworthy, I'm going to try to do my best to stay away from it. But when I saw this shit go down with the borders and all that, with the ban, look, this is how I feel with regards to this. Okay, so just to recap for some of you guys that haven't been following this. So President Trump's current travel ban, that's in effect. Now bear in mind, it would not have stopped 9/11. It wouldn't have knocked out the Boston bombings. It wouldn't have taken care of the Sandy Hook shootings. Wouldn't have taken care of the Orlando shootings at that gay nightclub. Wouldn't have taken care of any other terror attacks that happened before and after 9/11. You dig? Yet, Donald Trump cites that because of what happened 9/11 is the reason why he is putting this ban in effect, right? So you hear that and you're kind of like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Now here's the real what the fuck. Here's the real what the fuck. Not one person that has been there's not one person that has been killed in a terror attack on U.S. soil by people from the 7 countries that's listed in President Trump's executive order. Right? Right? You guys are with me. This ban does not include people from the 9 countries where 9/11 perpetrators hailed from. Okay? So, I mean, there's a significant problem with the ban right there. And then, like, I'm doing my own research here. I'm digging into this, like, a little further. You got Saudi Arabia. Like, you know, if you're going to put somebody on the list, put Saudi Arabia on the list, right? Saudi Arabia is not on the list. Why? There's a trend to this. Egypt is not on the list. You know why Saudi Arabia and Egypt aren't on the list? Because Donald Trump does booming business in those areas. Then he talks about the radical Islamic terror. Okay, that's fine. All right, I'm down with that. But he left out several nations that have large Muslim populations like India, the Philippines, Turkey, all of which, conveniently, he does big booming business in. Now, the areas that, you know, he does have some type of business in as far as 0 to limited business presence in the countries that's on the list, they're pretty much ranked the poorest in the nation. So you have a combination of, like, there's some on the list that, like, and then you got some that's, like, not on the list. So you're either on the list, you either just made the list, or you're not on the list. So you hear that and you're just kind of like, what the fuck? And to that I say, if you're gonna go this route, be consistent all across the board. That's all I have to say, guys. That is it in a nutshell. If I'm going to say, look, you cannot come into my home. Well, how come I can't come into your home? You can't come into my home because you're not a female. Oh, so all males are banned from coming to you? Yep, that's right. All males are banned from coming to my home. Oh, okay. Now, I have to be very specific. Now, I say all females are welcomed into my... But I didn't specify, does that mean adult females? Does that mean teen females? Does that mean adolescent females? What about sexual orientation when it comes to these females? What about the nationality of these females? You know, you can't be as vague like this as the way this ban is currently in effect right now. You got to make sure that all your X's and O's are fucking covered, and that all across the board you got areas covered so that motherfuckers can't come up from behind you and go, well, what about this? Well, you didn't do that. Well, what about this? Hey, you ain't take care of these guys over here. What's up with that? Well, no, they ain't getting it. Why we getting it and they ain't getting it? You gotta be fucking consistent, and this is just having really bad domino effects on what's happening in other countries. Now you got other countries that's like, well, since the USA is acting like this, hey, USA residents, sorry, but we fucking don't like your president. So if your president's gonna be that petty, sorry, we're gonna have to be that petty back. It's not cool, man. It's not cool, especially when you have individuals that's trying to come to this country. They're trying to do it the right way, and it just kind of feels as though they're being spit in the face. I'm just not really feeling that. But we got a long way to go. That's all I gotta say, man. We got a long way to go. Again, if you got a question you want me to tackle, make sure at the end of your question you put in parentheses capital LS, so that I know exactly what you guys are talking about. I see one question. What do I think about a possible Wyatt versus Orton at Mania? I already talked about that, Freddie. Or will we have to suffer a Harper Wyatt match at... Already covered that. Personally getting tired of... Yeah, I pretty much covered all that, Freddie. You're late by like about 20 minutes. Again, Freddie, going forward, any questions you want me to tackle, you got to make sure you put in parentheses LS. That helps me just because otherwise I'm going to miss it. So again, guys, when you got questions and you're live in the chat going forward, make sure at the end of it, in parentheses, you put in LS. Do I think it was business savvy for Uber to come out and agree with Trump, even though it's being said that Uber's CEO is supposedly in Trump's cabinet? No, I don't think it's good, because Uber has one responsibility and one responsibility only, and that is to get individuals from point A to B. They are not in the business of politics. So, honestly, they really should have kept their mouths shut. If you want to send your allegiance to President Trump, you want to back him and everything like that, you send him a private letter. You send him a private email and ask that you remain anonymous. You show your support that way. And, discreetly, you let the president know that, hey, we got your back, anything you need or whatever we can do to help, but you have our support. That's how you're supposed to go about that. And, honestly, I'm sure a lot of people are hearing that and they're probably saying, yeah, Uber. You already got weirdos as it is when it comes to the Uber drivers. And then, I'd be all night here telling you stories about what went down with fucking Uber, man. Saw the recent trailer for Better Call Saul. Third season is going to be coming up. Looking very forward to it. We pretty much had Saul in the 3-minute sneak preview that Jimmy was talking to Kim about the current status of their relationship, now that Kim pretty much knows that Jimmy has done a little bit of shady shenanigans to try to help get Kim clients for the joint firm that they now have together. We're also getting the promise that Gus from Breaking Bad is going to be popping up this season. We're going to see him in the early stages. I'm looking forward to that. Breaking Bad's Gus. Looking forward to that. Better Call Saul premieres Monday night, April 10th at 10 p.m. Eastern on AMC. I'm looking forward to that. I didn't forget your questions, guys. I'm just trying to get through the rest of these thoughts I have in my head for this week. Me and my friends were talking about this on my personal Facebook page all weekend long. We're in euphoria right now. Square Enix and Marvel, they have come to a multi-year agreement. As far as video game licensing and all that goes, looks like the very first video game that's going to be coming out is the Avengers, and they're using the hashtag reassemble. Maybe we can finally eventually get that Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I've been playing the hell out of part 1 and 2 right now. I've mainly been going back to part 2 because I just love playing as Silver Surfer. But the first installment, which is going to be that Avengers game, it won't be coming out until 2018. That's going to be the very first Marvel Square Enix collaboration. I'm looking forward to that. I must admit, I've just patiently for years upon years, me and friends have just been waiting for Marvel to get away from the gaming publisher Activision, because anybody that is familiar with all the games under Marvel that's been released through Activision mainly, the games have been some shit. I mean, there's been a couple of good Spider-Man games that was like, okay. And I even remember that one Wolverine game that had came out some years back. It played off of the movie. It was a damn good. Was it X-Men Wolverine Origins? I want to say maybe that was the name of it. It was a really good, because I remember there was like a unrated, like a Berserker version, and you got like blood galore and all that fucking shit. And I've only played bits and pieces of it here and there. I thought that was a good game, but Speaking of games, I saw a question about the Friday the 13th video game. I don't know, man. I don't think I'm going to be checking it out. I think at this point, the only game that I am going to be interested in checking out right now, Shenmue 3 is supposed to be coming out, and I've been waiting almost 20 years for Shenmue 3 to come out. That game is going to be released only on PlayStation 3. There's hopes, though, that a remastered Part 1 and 2 will be coming out on all platforms. That way, everybody can, get their appetites wet, get ready for Part 3. But I think as far as like coming out of my pocket to pay, because I don't really play that many games as it is. And when I do, I'm telling you, I've got like 10 games right now that's either on my Xbox hard drive or they're still in shrink wrap that I have not played yet. And my girl will tell you, I'm one of those type of people. It takes me a good minute to get to a game. And when I finally do get to it, I usually get, about time you started playing that. It's like, yeah, I figure what the hell. Speaking of waiting like 20 years, happy anniversary to Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, as of today, turns 20. Do you remember where you were when you had first played Final Fantasy VII? I mean, my God. I was like 16 going on 17 when that game had came out. And all my friends were like, dude, are you... Yeah, I'm playing. I mean, that game was fucking addictive as I don't know what. One of the best story arcs I've ever come across in Final Fantasy franchise history. And I've played all the Final Fantasy games. Love them all. Love them. Yeah, there's a couple of weak ones, but I have played them all. But that one, hands down, the very best one. From the story to the characters, the memorable boss fights. Oh my God, don't even get me started on the boss fights. I mean, probably like in the top 15, 25 list of video game boss fights like all time. You got to go with Emerald Weapon and Ruby Weapon. I mean, when you first try to fight those guys, your ass get owned big time. You're like, what do I got to do to level up? And they're like, oh, Knights of the Round, Knights of the Round, Knights of the Round, use Odin. I mean, I don't know how I did it, but I remember I just kept going. I was grinding it out. And it wasn't the same once people had figured out how to do this little exploit where they could, maximize their guild and, level up and there were codes where they could boost the hell out of their stats. It just wasn't the same when nothing had beat actually grinding it out, putting in all that fucking time. My God, I remember me and my friends were in school and we were fucking playing the hell out of that game. That's all we could talk about. I mean, shit, we did our homework and all that, but man, it was like, hey, you playing Final Fantasy? Can I come over? I mean, literally, there would be like, that's how we would do it. We'd be like, hey, where you at on Final Fantasy? I'm at the part where you at? I'm actually about to hit that part. And let me ask you, how did you beat so-and-so? Oh, I did. Okay. And you got somebody else. Oh, man, you guys got a little bit farther than I did. I'm stuck at this part where, well shit, I'm kind of like still right around that area. And I can show you what I did. I got a previous save. Just come over to the house. It would be like that. Now it's not the same because like now you can just upload your game footage to Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, and you don't have to leave the privacy of your own home to go see what the other person was doing. And it's not the same anymore. But I remember back then, my God, Cloud, Strife, Cloud, Barrett. Oh, great fucking memorable characters, man. 20 years. How time fucking flies. You're just reminded how old you really are when you hear that type of shit, man. Speaking of games, I see that the Nintendo Switch is going to be coming now. We still don't have any specifics. I mean, all the specifics you want in the world is available, but the two main features that like Nintendo Switch is like hush hush on, Nintendo hasn't released yet, is what's going on with the CPU and the GPU that's built in. There's like no information on that right now. But other than that, it's coming out on March 3rd. It's going to cost you $300. I don't necessarily agree with March 3rd. I think they should have done it like right around when it's time for you to do your taxes, because usually by April, people like got back their tax returns and all that shit. They got a little bit of money to burn. I think they should have done it in April instead, but I'm curious to see how March does for them. We'll see how it does. What else? Oh, I feel sad for my man JBL. Apparently JBL, during the NXT TakeOver event over the weekend, he shared a screen image of the Authors of Pain DIY match he was watching. And he was like, hey, Paul Ellering, I always enjoy seeing him no matter how many years it's been since I've last seen him. He just ages so well. And you're like, okay, cool. But you know how in Firefox, you'll see it in Firefox, you'll see it in Internet Explorer. You'll usually have, like in the upper right-hand corner, there'll be like a little mini search engine. You could just type in a little bit of something in there, try to figure out what you're looking for, type it in, hit enter, that's it. Well, there's this bodybuilder woman. I mean, she looks like a freak, and I say that in the most respectful way. I mean, sister got some serious abs, veins. I mean, she got guns. I mean, she is chiseled as fuck. I mean, she almost has like the body of Chris Masters, and it's an actual woman. Yes, I've looked at some of the. I verified it. Okay, she as far as I can tell, she ain't no transsexual or anything like that. Even though some of y'all may think she is, she's not a transsexual. Her name is Katka Kiptova. Hopefully you guys that's hearing this, you are over the age of 18. You're at least 18 and up. If you're going to be looking for pictures of her, I'm not going to spell that out for you, but if you know how to type in the right areas, you'll be able to see exactly what JBL was looking at, why he was looking for her, and he put nude at the end of it. You know, it'd be one thing if he just put her name there. It's kind of like, what does JBL know that we don't know? Is this maybe a new talent coming to the WWE? Inquiring minds want to know. But for him to put that name and then nude at the end of it, you're kind of like, JBL, what are you doing, brother? Seriously, man. Let's see, what other topics? I got, other than you guys' questions, I got like, let me look here. I've got 2 more topics. Let me look here. I've got 3 more topics. No, 4. I got 4 more topics I can talk about real quickly. Going back to video games real quick. I have had the opportunity to check out the WWE Champions game. I checked it out when it first launched. I think it launched last Thursday. I love it. It's a good game. It has like elements of Marvel Puzzle Quest meets Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest, meets a little bit of Candy Crush. I like it. It's a really good game, and I actually had my girl Tammy. She actually had played it because she was like, "Oh, what are you playing? That looks new." I'm like, "Yeah, apparently it's free. It's a WWE Champions game." And she's like, "Well, how do you like it so far?" I'm like, "I like it. It's pretty good. I like the fact that you can play it as these, wrestlers from present or in the past, and they got these nice graphics, and it also has elements of the WWE All Stars. I know you are probably like, All Stars, what the fuck? Yeah, I wish they made a sequel to that. I thought WWE was really on to something when they did that All Stars game some years back, but sadly it didn't make enough money, which is why they never brought it. Which is why they never continued the franchise. Sadly, they just was like, okay, that's a one-off. Fuck that, we're done. But she ended up downloading it on her Android tablet, and she was like asking me for advice because she's like, "Hey, how do I evolve my wrestler? Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here." And I had to show her what to do. One thing we both kind of noticed, it's very sluggish. just the overall game mechanics is very sluggish. The loading, it's a bit tedious when you're waiting in between, and when you factor in how sluggish the game is, and then the load times, you almost kind of want to go, okay, let me play my other game. That's almost the point that you're at. So, but other than that, I mean, it's a really, really good game. I'm finding right now that despite all the spend this amount and you can get, it comes off as one of those games you don't need to actually dip into your pockets and pay. It just does not. So I would really recommend to you guys that want like a really good tablet game, for your Android, iOS, your phone or whatever. You're looking for something really cool to play in between work, commute, going home, whatever. You're on a train, bus, waiting for your friends, meeting up at a movie or whatever. Or you're just kicking back on the sofa, chatting with the missus, looking at a little bit of TV, want to play a nice little game. It's good. It's pretty fucking solid. I think what I may end up doing, just to make things kind of be interesting, anybody that downloads the WWE Champions game, let me know. Because if you're on iOS, and I'm hoping a lot of you guys are on iOS, I'm thinking maybe we could do like a RCWR Show club. And, it could just be a joint for all of us listeners. I think that would be really fucking cool. That way it kind of gives us all a chance to interact more with each other and all that. So if you all got iOS, let me know. Let me know what your handle is for that game. And basically what I could try to do is look out for you once I raise enough coins to basically buy a alliance group, because that a faction group is what they're calling it. You got to actually spend the money to make a faction group just so people can actually go in there. So what do I think about the whole Doctor Who thing? Sadly, I've never been a fan of Doctor Who. Sadly, I haven't. That's the God's honest truth. I never could get into that show. I am aware of the guy that played I think he was the 9th Doctor Who, and he would go on to play like this cool kick-ass fucking villain in the Netflix Jessica Jones series. And I was like, wow, this guy's pretty fucking good. But I mean, other than that, I don't know anything about Doctor Who, sadly. See, a couple other topics. We're almost done for tonight, man. I thought for sure we were going to do like 50 minutes, but doesn't look like that's going. But we're still ending the show early, which is good. So we're almost done. Only got like a couple more topics I want to get into, and I'm just looking at the show notes here to jog my memory again. I see James Cameron is all but like it's a done deal. He's going to be buying back the rights to the Terminator franchise. It looks like 2018, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be the earliest that he will have the Terminator franchise back, and he's got big plans for it. That's why, if you guys recall, when you saw those series of Terminator movies that was out, Genesis and the joint with Christian Bale and all that, basically the person that had the publishing rights at that point, they were trying to do their best to just like milk it for all that it was worth, while at the same time hopefully trying to make enough revenue to continue to maintain keeping the franchise, publishing rights and all that. And it's just a bit like too tedious for them, and looks like James Cameron is going to be coming back into the fold. I'm actually excited. I'm curious to see what he would do. He's already gone on record the past few Terminator movies that came out, he was not loving it. He was not loving it. He was like, this is a piece of shit. I mean, he was pretty vocal about it. So I'm curious to see what he's going to be able to do with the Terminator franchise this go round. And, who knows? Maybe, if you ask me straight up, what I personally would love to see happen, I would love to see Lucasfilms come in and take over the Terminator franchise. I don't know how you guys feel personally about that, but I was telling my friend Jose the other day, I said, when I look back on the Terminator franchise, way before they butchered the hell out of it and there was a TV series and all that, when I just look back on the initial 3 that we had got. I personally always felt that like it should have been like an ongoing Star Wars franchise, that it had the potential. You just needed to have the right people in place. And he couldn't really see what I was talking about, and I think that's mainly because there was only like 3, the initial 3 that were good, and then it was just the drizzling shits afterwards. But I don't know how much more simplistic I could have made it for him that, hey, you know, like Star Wars it always had. So I'm curious if maybe some type of a deal could be struck where maybe it could go in that direction, where maybe Lucasfilms maybe picks it up. I would love to see that happen. Wishful thinking right there. Keep my fingers crossed on that one. And one last topic I want to get into. I couldn't wait to talk about this one. I'll keep it brief though. Charles Barkley. I've always been a fan of Charles Barkley. The things that come out of his mouth, you know, he usually is pretty spot on when it comes to his analysis. He was very critical of LeBron James. He's been critical of LeBron James. LeBron James has been in the league now for about 14 years or whatnot. And we had Saul, Charles Barkley, he just let loose pretty much after the Cleveland Cavaliers had lost 104-97 to the Dallas Mavericks on Monday. And, you know, he struck some nerves, man. He struck some serious nerves, as Barkley, he's consistently just been saying of James, telling as recent as HBO's Bill Simmons over the summer that James would never ascend to the top 5 status in NBA history over Michael Jordan, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, even going all the way back to 2010 and James the Decision. You guys remember that television special when Barkley told ESPN Radio in Dallas, Fort Worth that it was a punk move for James to leave Cavs and take up with the Miami Heat. And James kept it classy. He took the high road when he was asked about Barkley's comments, saying they were good for ratings while defending his competitive spirit. And, you know, we've pretty much seen what's been going down with Charles Barkley and his criticism of LeBron as of late. You know, basically saying, man, this guy LeBron James, what the hell? You know, he's being inappropriate. He's being whiny. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they've given him everything that he ever wanted. They gave him the highest, they have the highest payroll in NBA history. He wanted J.R. Smith last summer. They paid him. He wanted Iman last summer. They brought in Kyle Grover. As far as he was concerned, LeBron's the best player in the world. Does he want all the good players? He don't want to compete. He's an amazing player. They're the defending champs. So LeBron, he came right back, and I mean, my God, boy, is it critical what he had to say. I'm actually looking at it right now, and this is exactly what he said. He said, and I quote, "I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that." This is what James said to ESPN. "I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had an unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I never showed up to an all-star weekend on Sunday because I was in Las Vegas all weekend partying. All I've done my entire career is represent the NBA the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble, respected the game. Print that." And then he would go on to say, "Go watch the 93 finals when John Paxson hits the shot. Barkley and Jordan were laughing and joking with each other during one of the games while somebody shooting a free throw in the finals. But nobody were friends back then." So, I mean, you talk about LeBron lighting that ass up. You know, I don't know how to feel about this. LeBron is usually pretty outspoken. He always takes the high road, but I think this may have been a situation where maybe some of what Charles Barkley was saying about LeBron struck him at his core, because I've always been a firm believer that you never react hostile unless you feel as though in some shape or form that person may be right. And in a case like this where Charles Barkley is paid to give his analysis on what's happening with the game, and anybody that has watched Charles Barkley long enough on TNT, he has never attacked a person, like talked about their family or talked about them outside of the court. You know, he's never gone that route. You know, he always talks about what he's seeing play out before him in front of his very eyes when it comes to watching that player on the court, or when it comes to watching that team on the court, and he gives his criticism that way. And there's been many times where he has given LeBron James a lot of praise, whether it's, you know, what he does as a player on the court or maybe off the court with his charitable work, all that. You know, he's always been quick to give LeBron praise. I think that Charles Barkley did not do anything wrong, and I must admit, as long as I have been a LeBron James fan, this was like the first time that I've ever seen him kind of like go in this very hostile, almost kind of toxic direction. And I was just really taken back by that, because I had to do a double take. Wait, LeBron actually said this? And what was really personal, now see, LeBron makes very valid points about his critique of Charles Barkley, but then there was one thing that really struck out at me, where he basically said in a nutshell, and I'm paraphrasing, that Barkley has to do what he has to do with TNT every single week, that if he could have had it his way, Barkley, you know, he would have retired a long time ago, but he has to continue to have the money come in because he's got a lifestyle that he needs to try to maintain. So, you know, when you hear that, you're like, whoa, wait, LeBron, did you just take like a low cheap shot at Barkley? Like seriously, man. So, even telling him, hey, look, you know my schedule, you know where I'm going to be, you know, you want to talk, we'll talk, but don't come up to me, shake my hand, you know, ask me for, you know, autographs to give to, you know, some kids, you know, or whatever, and then talk trash about me behind my back. It's like, it don't work like that. If that's how Barkley was operating, I really hope that those two are able to squash that. Charles Barkley, he definitely had his fucking issues, no doubt about it, but honestly, if you ask me straight up, I respect both of these guys for the contributions that they've made to the sport of the NBA. And we don't need this type of pettiness. We don't need this type of back and forth going down right now. What we need is more unity in this world right now. And I think Barkley, LeBron, they need to have a meeting behind closed doors, and they need to just hammer it out. You know, try to understand each other's point of view, and, you know, even if they disagree, man, they just need to come up out of there. Make sure that they both know going forward out of that meeting, hey, man, ain't shit personal. Don't get it twisted like that. Sorry if you feeling as though, you know, I'm coming at you like this, you know. And if Barkley is sincere, if Barkley means well, then Barkley, as a veteran NBA player, as a Hall of Famer, if he's not already in it or whatnot, you know, he needs to extend that hand. He needs to extend that olive branch to LeBron. So that's all I got to say with regards to that. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I'm just taking one last crack at some of the topics here, and it looks like we did pretty good. I'm looking at the topics. We pretty much had covered them all. I'm just poking my head in the chat one last time, pick up any other additional questions that I maybe have missed. And as I'm scrolling through this, I want to remind you guys, right after I get done with this, for those of you that have missed it, you all will be able to hear in its entirety the Royal Rumble Aftershow that we did for you guys on Sunday night. Razor wants to know, do I think Sasha Banks is showing little bits of heelish frustrations towards Bayley? Heel turn imminent. I kind of see that going, and I think the seeds that were planted tonight, or rather this week with Raw, I noticed that one scene where Bayley's like, hey, you're not at 100%. Why don't you just get rested up, get yourself back up to 100, then try to face Nia Jax? And there was some like cheap shot where Sasha, I can't remember what she said word for word, but it was almost like an indirect cheap shot at Bayley. But what I'm more curious about is what was going on with that match against Nia Jax and the timekeeper rung the bell or whatever like that. Like, did the timekeeper do that at the discretion of Bayley? Like, did Bayley say to the timekeeper, hey, look, this is my best friend. She really ain't got no business doing this match. I don't want her leg being screwed up in a way where, you know, she's going to be out for like possibly a year or whatnot. You know, if you see Nia home in on it and, you know, she's not letting up, you know, she's just, you know, being an animal killer out there, can you ring the bell? Just, you know, let it be. Get it over and done with. I'm more curious what's up with that. And when you go back and when you watch Raw, you look at how that particular match had ended, you're going to be, yeah, who rung the bell? Like, you know, it was the timekeeper. Like, you know, Bayley wasn't over there, but you can't help but wonder if Bayley had something to do with that timekeeper. So, yeah, to answer your question in a nutshell, I do kind of see it being imminent that there's going to be some type of a heel run coming, which I think is honestly for the better, man. It's honestly for the better. See, voicemails. You all that have questions, you want to send them my way, there's voicemails. As far as, because I have my phone right here, and I always get a email notification when there is a voicemail, and I just refreshed right now, and I do not see any voicemails right now. Let me actually go on the desktop here, because sometimes these Samsungs, you got to watch it, because if you got too many apps, it won't automatically refresh after a while. There are no questions as far as voicemails go that I see for this week. So if you guys are like, what's up with the voicemails? My first question to you, did you leave a voicemail on the site? If you didn't leave a voicemail on the site, you gotta leave a voicemail. That's the only way I'm gonna answer voicemail questions. So other than that, we did pretty good, man. Okay, so your next edition of the RCWR Show is going to be coming at you on Tuesday night, February 7th. Don't forget, later this week, I'll actually be coming on live via Facebook. And there will be a couple of topics I want to dive into a little bit more. So for you political buffs out there, make sure you check that out. That's going to be pretty solid. And I appreciate the love and support, as always, from those of you that always check the show out on the download. So on that note, there's no other topics for me to get into. So I'm actually going to leave this portal open. You all can continue to converse amongst yourselves if you like. You're going to get ready to hear the Royal Rumble after show in its entirety. And that's it. I'll be done afterwards. So, you know, if you guys want to kick on back, listen, converse amongst yourselves, y'all can do that. You won't hear me again. So I want to take this time to thank those of you that checked out tonight's show. We'll do this for you guys next week. So be about a 3-second pause, and then you'll hear the Royal Rumble after show.
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Oh, yes. What is going on for this Sunday night, January 29th, 2017? Remember the Rumble. I don't know about you guys, but now that this Royal Rumble is in the books, I am going to go on record. I'm not really going to remember anything about this particular Rumble. Although there is one thing
that I'm pretty sure that I am going to remember going forward, which is the Royal Rumble is going to be happening next year in Philadelphia. So, I mean, that's like a 3-hour drive away from where I live. I'm thinking maybe next year I might actually go on out there. I mean, other than remembering that, I'm not really remembering anything else. Are you guys remembering this Rumble? I'd like to hear from you guys. But yeah, man, we're talking WWE Royal Rumble Fallout. We're doing a special simulcast for you guys live on Spreaker and also on YouTube right now. So feel free, wherever you are right now, we got chats available in both respective platforms. Sound off. Let me know what you had thought about tonight's Royal Rumble event, as we're going to definitely do our part getting folks caught up to speed for those that maybe have not checked it out just yet. I'll tell you what's cracking, Jose, not this freaking Royal Rumble that we had got. Although, if I were to rate this Royal Rumble from what we had got from less than 24 hours ago with the NXT TakeOver event, if I had to pick one or the other, I kind of got to give the edge just slightly to tonight's Royal Rumble. I thought that was a little bit better than the TakeOver event, but yeah, man, I tell you, Roman Reigns, he's like Rodney Dangerfield. I tell you, I get no respect. I get no respect. I have never, man, you talk about hating. I mean, how do we really feel, some of us, how do we really feel about Roman Reigns? Let's just, man, I'm speechless right now. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about this. All right, so where to begin? Let's talk about this pre-show that we had got. I don't know how many of you guys actually made the investment of checking out the 2-hour pre-show for the Royal Rumble. I actually did not check it out. I refused to check it out because I just felt that 2 hours was just way too long. I was all fine for the traditional 1-hour pre-show format before we get the actual pay-per-view. So I came in during the second hour, and I should have at least tried to make an investment, making sure I didn't miss too much during the first hour, because during the first hour of the pre-show, we apparently had got our 6-woman tag match. For those of you that maybe were like, what's going on with that match? Yeah, Lee, what happened? Did it happen? Did it get canceled? No, that match actually did go down. It happened during the first hour of the pre-show. I did not see, can't say if it was a good match or not, but the team of Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Naomi, they actually defeated the team of Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya. Now, if you guys had checked out my Facebook Live edition video that I did offering predictions, how I would personally book it for the Royal Rumble this Sunday, you all know very, very well why I decided to go in favor of Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya going over in that matchup. If you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you show it some proper love when you guys get a chance. But again, Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Naomi, they defeated the team of Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya. During the second and final hour of our pre-show, we had got the tag team titles for the WWE Raw Tag titles, where 2 referees were assigned to the match. Basically, these referees were trying to make sure that no weird shenanigans went down, that they didn't miss anything, any type of silliness that went down. They were going to be able to spot it, just basically trying to enforce that this match, it'd be clean, that we would get a clean finish, we would get a decisive winner without any type of controversy whatsoever. And I am just looking at some of the comments that we got coming in on YouTube, and I am telling you, man, a lot of people annoyed, a lot of people irritated. I think really with the Rumble itself, but again, keep the interactions coming. I'm just kicking back, reading what you guys are saying as y'all are commenting on the Rumble. And of course, any questions you all got for me, send them my way. But yeah, we got new Raw Tag Team Champions in Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, man, as they defeated the team of Sheamus and Cesaro. Let's try to pick it up towards the end of the match. We had saw Anderson and Cesaro, they tangled a little bit. Anderson had connected with a nice, pretty sweet spine buster, only was able to get a 2 count. Gallows had came in, tried to
help out his partner as they tried to apply the magic killer. Sheamus was able to intervene. Cesaro then connected with a DDT on Gallows. We see a referee that went down inadvertently as a result of all of this craziness that was going down. So that left another referee to pretty much take over. We saw Cesaro connect with the Cesaro swing on Anderson. Cesaro then applied a sharpshooter. Gallows comes in with a big boot to the face to break that submission hold up. Anderson had tried to go in for a cover, only received a 2 count as Sheamus was able to successfully get back in the ring, break that up. Gallows and Sheamus, they brawled. A lot more confusion as the referee is trying to keep track of what all is going down, but he does know who is the legal man. As we had saw Gallows connect Sheamus, his face and all that with a kick. Sheamus then eats a magic killer. As Gallows and Anderson, they would end up getting the pin for the victory. Gallows, Anderson, your new WWE Raw Tag Team Champions. So how do I personally feel about this? Well, anybody that's been checking out the show, the podcast show, which, by the way, you can check me out live every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. Soon as SmackDown goes off the air, where we talk about the latest and what's been going down in WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, wrestling headlines, a little bit of pop culture news beyond. You know how we do it. Talk a little bit about everything. I have been a vocal force in favor of Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson being put in a position where they have an opportunity to run as the tag team champions. And I think we can all be in agreement. When they first came up on the main WWE Raw flagship show, it seemed very promising, especially when they were paired up with AJ Styles. It was kind of like, oh, all right. They were kind of staggering a little bit there, but I tell you what, AJ got in there. He kind of like set the tone. Then we saw Gallows, Anderson. They come in and you're like, yeah, this is going to be okay. This is going to be on point. Very short-lived though, man. I mean, they were not a union that long, but they just had natural chemistry together. And it was a little bit kind of nerve-wracking that WWE had split those guys up so quickly. But at the same time, you can make the argument that they saw a lot of marketability with AJ Styles, and that it made a lot more sense to just run with AJ as a solo act and let Anderson and Gallows fly solo, see what they can do respectively. And they were staggering there for many months, man. It was just like, and I know I wasn't the only one, because not to kind of beat the horse to death, but I got to. When you just consider what all they did in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then take it a step further, just what they've done respectfully for other wrestling promotions they've had the opportunity to work for, their work has been really, really solid amongst wrestling fans that can appreciate all forms of wrestling from good talents from various promotions. So it was nerve-wracking to see these guys in WWE, after 2-3 months, and it's like creative booking just like forgot about these guys, quite honestly. Definitely nerve-wracking. So no matter the case, I always stayed the course with regards to Anderson and Gallows. I always said, nah, WWE, they got to get behind these guys. These guys are, they're freaking awesome. Look at the work that they did before they came to the WWE. You can capitalize on that, and for me, and I remember vividly as if it were yesterday, saying that with regards to Anderson and Gallows, they're younger than Bully Ray, than Devon, and it made a lot of sense to go on ahead and give them a run as tag champions. But it just seemed like every time we turned around, I think timing was always there, and WWE should have struck while the iron was hot. But after all these months, they finally pulled the trigger. Am I happy for these guys? Yes. Is it a little bit too late? It's pretty late. But I'm very curious to see going forward now, and I think this is what we all that are Gallows and Anderson fans, it's great that they're the tag champions, but I think the real tale is going to be how are they going to be booked going forward? That's going to be the real tale in itself. So curious to see how that's going to be coming, if they're going to be given more stronger writing, booking opportunities as a result. You know, a lot's going to happen. We're going to know when we get this first episode of Raw post Royal Rumble in about less than 24 hours. We'll know how that comes about. But I thought that was a pretty good tag team match for the Raw tag titles. They held it down. They did pretty good. A little bit of dissension, if you will, between Cesaro, Sheamus. Can they continue to get on the same page? Well, I tell you what, from what we had saw of the two guys as they were in the Rumble, respectfully, later on in the night, they worked pretty well together, I must say. So I am not quite sure that they're done just yet as a tag team. There's probably a little bit more life in them, but we'll wait and see what happens with regards to that. Next up, we had Nia Jax take on Sasha Banks. By now, there were definitely a lot of you guys, in addition to me, that was saying, wow, Sasha Banks on a pay-per-view card? Like, what the hell? Why? What's going on? Very odd that just Nia Jax, I could kind of understand, but to see Sasha Banks as many times as she had headlined a few pay-per-view shows, mainly with Charlotte, main evented the Raws, main evented a pay-per-view a couple of months back. I mean, just constantly there in the main event picture. Here she is on the pre-show. It was just really, for me personally, I just really kind of had to take a step back and say, wow, this is actually a pre-show match. And I'm still sticking to my guns. I feel that this is only temporarily. Sasha Banks fans should not worry. I personally feel they are going to get back into the... What the hell am I reading here? Just reading some of the comments here on YouTube. I don't know. I may have to assign a moderator. We'll see how that goes. But no, seriously. I still personally feel that we have not seen the last of Sasha Banks in the main event picture for that women's title. Mark my words on that. I think when it's all said and done, we're probably going to see some type of a triple threat, maybe even a fatal four-way for that title. So we'll see how that all pans out. It was a decent match, surprising finish, as we had saw Nia Jax pick up the W. I was a little bit taken back by that because I was not expecting for Nia to get it, considering how she's just been running rough shots on Sasha Banks within the past several weeks. And I thought for certain, just storyline wise, that Sasha Banks was going to come back on the rebound. She was going to make Nia Jax pay for all of those weeks that she's been ambushed by her. But no, it didn't go down that way. And so I'm only left to one conclusion, which is, well, we know for a good minute now, WWE, they've really been showing their appreciation, their support for Nia Jax. They've really been trying to get behind her. If they really want to get behind her, just to follow up on what I said less than 24 hours ago, they got to change my girl's music. I'm telling you, especially after I saw my girl Nikki Cross at the TakeOver event the other day, and I know she basically was coming out to the Sanity Stable music, but look, that music, when I just think about that, even Chyna's music, I mean, it wasn't necessarily menacing, but it fit her. It fit her perfectly, man. Perfectly. Karma, when she was in the WWE, the music she had, that fit. Even Beth Phoenix, what she was coming out to, that was on point as well. But they got to do something with the Nia Jax music, man. I got to see that switch up. But these two girls, they had a decent match. I mean, it was really nothing that you could really sink your teeth into, as it was a pretty short match. Once you got past the entrance themes, it was about, if you're lucky, a 4-minute match. So really freaking short. Can't really comment anymore on that. Actual pay-per-view card, we go now. Charlotte successfully defended her Raw Women's title against Bayley. Crowd really starting to really come alive, I personally feel. Now, don't get me wrong. They were kind of interactive during the pre-show matches, but you know, that's pre-show. Everybody's still grabbing some food, the drinks, getting the bathroom stuff out the way, trying to do what they can to get to their seats so they can get nice and comfortable. So for me, it's always boiling down to, okay, actual pay-per-view card, how's the crowd? And I gotta say, for the most part, tonight, crowd was pretty into it. They were definitely vocal. Felt like many times they were kind of sitting on their hands, though, but for the most part, I'll give them a passing grade. They were pretty vocal. It was a good crowd. But Charlotte, Bayley, good encounter right here. I mean, come on. These girls, I had the fortunate pleasure of watching them throw it down in NXT. So for me personally, I already knew what to expect from these two girls. Only this go round, it's on a much bigger stage. And I tell you, the chemistry that they had going on in NXT, I thought they picked up right where they had left off. Charlotte, again, defeating Bayley. She continues her pay-per-view streak with regards to the championship. She now goes 16-0, believe it or not. And follow in on some of the closing moments of that respected match. As we had saw Bayley, she was trying to get back on the offense, trying to make a nice little comeback. Charlotte was able to just derail that, though. Bayley connected with a nice springboard crossbody. Bayley coming in a few more offensive moves. Bayley actually managed to drop Charlotte on her face. Then they took the fight to the top rope, but that really didn't play out the way that Charlotte would have liked it to play out, as we saw Bayley stomp on Charlotte, tried to go in for a pin, only managed to get a 2 count. We then saw Charlotte manage to apply the figure 4, but we soon saw Bayley manage to turn that around, flip it on her. Charlotte then reversed it into a figure 8, tried to use the ropes for leverage. Referee saw it, wasn't flying by. A little bit more back and forth. Match just pretty much ended when Charlotte did a natural selection to Bayley, like out of nowhere, on the apron. I mean, it was wicked. That match alone, just to see how that had finished out, is worth alone seeing, because it was just like, damn, it was almost kind of like a RKO out of nowhere type of moment. I had enjoyed it. It was a good finish. They had a really good, as I said yesterday, this is basically Act 1 as far as their official jumpstart to their pay-per-view feuds. Don't get it twisted. Yes, we've seen them lock it up a few times on Raw, but this is the first true opening act as far as seeing them on the pay-per-view card. So I'm still sticking to my guns. I think when it's all said and done, Bayley is going to have her awesome Wrestlemania moment when she becomes the new women's champion for the Raw side of things. So that's just where I stand on that. Some of you may disagree with that, but I'm sticking to my guns on that one. That's the route that I feel is going to be coming about. I want to take this time, thank you guys that's checking out the simulcast right now. We're coming at you guys live right now on YouTube, also coming at you live on Spreaker. I just want to take this time because a lot of you guys are doing your thing, whether it's on YouTube or you're doing your thing on Spreaker. I just want to poke my head in there, acknowledge you guys, call some of you guys out, read some of the comments that we got coming in. Right now, I see like, okay, let's stick to Royal Rumble talk for starters. Otherwise, I'm going to have to turn on the moderator joint because I see this one question. It's a great question. Really, it is. But if we ain't talking Royal Rumble, we need to save that for Tuesday night where we can't talk about that. But I'm in YouTube, the chat right now, seeing what some of you guys are saying. And I like what Joker had to say. Joker basically said they literally hyped this Royal Rumble match with Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and Undertaker. Whoa, just lost you. There you are. Just for them to show up in the last 5 spots only to get eliminated pretty quickly, in my opinion. I think that opinion is very valid, because let me tell you something. When it came to that Royal Rumble match, which we'll be talking about in a good hot minute, because there's not really that many more other matches to talk about, I can't tell you how much disdain that I had saw on my Twitter timeline of people that were just ripping the hell. Basically, when they were able to kind of figure out, okay, this seems to be how things are going to be playing out towards the end of the Royal Rumble, basically when all 30 participants are out there. And yeah, a lot of people pretty upset about it. And one constant theme that I'm seeing right now, no Laura, and that is the theme that I'm seeing from a lot of people, which was basically the Royal Rumble, bunch of bullshit, bunch of BS. So just rewinding back a little bit, got to show some love to Gunny Yo 50. Of all the possible winners for the Royal Rumble this year, really, with Cena winning the WWE title from AJ Styles, which we'll talk about in a second, I don't want to see another Cena versus Orton match at WrestleMania 2017. So poke my head in the Spreaker chat, see what some of you guys are saying over there respectfully. Again, give me your comments. Let me know what you had thought about tonight's WWE Royal Rumble event. You can also post some questions, Royal Rumble related, or if you want to talk WWE stuff, definitely post your comments in there as well. Shout out to Joe, Reza, and Freddie that's over in the chat right now on Spreaker. I'm seeing what you guys are saying. Just summing it up in a nutshell right here. Looking on Spreaker here, I don't see anything juicy just yet, except for one thing, which is what a lot of people have been saying, and I was really taken back by this. No surprise entrants in this year's Royal Rumble, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up. Again, we'll talk about that in a hot second, but for now, let's talk about some of these other matches we got. We only got about 3 more matches before we talk about the Rumble, so let's have at it. So our next matchup on the card, we had Kevin Owens. He defeated Roman Reigns to retain his WWE Universal title as Chris Jericho was suspended in a shark cage above the ring. Great storytelling that they were able to execute in this match, I personally felt. I told you guys the other day, somehow, some way, and it really should have been no surprise, but somehow, some way, Chris Jericho was going to figure out some angle to help out his buddy Kevin Owens. And we saw at one point Chris Jericho had a pair of brass knuckles that he pulled from his pocket, waistline, whatever, and was able to drop it to Kevin Owens, who first go round wasn't able to connect to Roman Reigns, but the second go round he was able to do it. And I tell you, I was a little bit nervous when I was watching this match, because it was like, okay, so we've seen Roman Reigns go through a pop-up powerbomb. Okay, we've seen Roman Reigns take a devastating punch to the face with some brass knucks. I mean, we just saw Roman Reigns kick out of like some pretty devastating moves, and we're like, this doesn't really look too good. This is the story that's going to be told in this match. Roman Reigns just basically connecting with like one big move, and that's pretty much the end of it. And that actually was not the story that they had told. Oh, by the way, for those of you that may have been curious about the crowd reactions for this particular matchup, San Antonio crowd loved them some Kevin Owens. They loved them some Chris Jericho. Roman Reigns, they booed the hell out of that man. They were not feeling him whatsoever, but it wasn't as bad as it would be later on in the night. A little bit of a tease right there. I mean, you had a lot of boos for Roman Reigns during this matchup from the moment that he came out, making his way down to the ring. But it was almost kind of mixed, I would have to say. It was almost mixed. But the majority really wasn't feeling Roman. But it was actually a really damn good matchup. Let's home in on the closing moments of this particular matchup for you guys. As, again, good classic encounter that we had right there with these two, or technically 3. Pick it up towards the end, we had Saul Reigns. He actually had tried to bring a table into the picture, brought it from under the ring. He tried to set it up in a corner. Owens came in, tried to do a roll-up from behind, but only managed to get a 2 count. Reigns then connected with a Superman punch. Owens goes down. Reigns goes in for the cover. only a 2 count at that point. Reigns at this point is ready to connect with a spear as he's looking to spear Kevin Owens through a table, but Owens manages to kick him and just out of nowhere connects with a Stone Cold Stunner. That had a lot of people really just in euphoria when they saw that go down. So awesome moment. I will say it was kind of nice seeing at many points during some of these matches that we had there was like little nods to certain stars of yesteryears that made the Royal Rumble so famous. So it was nice seeing the Stone Cold Stunner spot that we had Charlotte, the reference to Ric Flair when he won the Rumble and all that. That was a nice little nod as well. So little things like that we were getting sprinkled all throughout the night. So Owens, later on in this matchup, closing moments again, he was able to connect with a corner cannonball. Goes to the top, tried to go for a superplex through a chair of... It was a mountain of chairs that Owens had set up earlier, but Reigns had actually countered that and sent Owens going into that mountain of steel chairs instead. Had the fans just really eating that up. They enjoyed that tremendously. Jericho, never able to get out of this cage. For those of you that did not see it, you're curious if he got out. He did not get out of the steel cage. Other than the brass knuckles that he tried to give to Owens from the heavens above, Jericho really was not that much of a factor in this. So we saw Reigns. He goes for a big powerbomb maneuver as he put Kevin Owens through a announcer's table successfully. Owens just out of it. And at this point, Reigns was just looking to get Owens in the ring, try to go for the cover. As actually, right before the cover, he put him in the ring, and he actually was ready to do a spear. And as he was gearing up for it, Braun Strowman, of all people, came in, attacked Roman Reigns, and everything was okay in this match. Anything goes, basically. So Braun Strowman comes in, beats the crap out of him, gives him a choke slam, sends him flying through a announcer's table. Braun rolls Reigns into the ring, follows it up with a big running power slam through the table that was already set up in the corner of the ring. Owens just basically crawled over, picked up the W that way. So I like the continuity. This kind of goes back to what I was saying less than 24 hours ago, and actually what I've been saying off and on for the past couple of months now with regards to the flagship show Raw, which is the storyline continuity. You got to keep it consistent. You got to make sure you plug in all those gaps. Everything has to make sense, and I love the fact that I didn't even have to stop and think why Braun was doing it. I already remembered off the break. Oh yeah, Braun, yeah. A couple of weeks back, he owes Roman Reigns, and it was actually nice to hear the commentators connect the dots for the fans. So you got a little bit of seeds that were planted to kind of backtrack on what happened in previous weeks, and now you get to try to see how things are going to be playing out when you get ready to watch Raw in less than 24 hours. So interesting direction that's happening at this point right here, as it comes off as though Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman have a little bit of unfinished business, so to speak. But again, Roman Reigns, not on this night. He did not get the WWE Universal title. So next up, we got our we got our 2 more matches to go. I was getting ready to talk about the WWE Championship match, but actually before that, we had got the Cruiserweight Championship match between Neville and Rich Swann. We got a new Cruiserweight champion in Neville, as Neville is now the king of the Cruiserweights. You got to say it like that. You can't say king of the Cruiserweights. You got to make it come off as if king of all kings, king of the world. You know, with Neville, you got to go king of the Cruiserweights. He is now the Cruiserweight champion. Long time coming. Long time coming. This goes back to like right before the Cruiserweight tournament even had commenced, when it came down to who all were going to be the participants for this tournament. I expected my man Neville was going to be involved. He was not involved in the tournament. I'm going, okay, no problem. Then we hear there's going to be a 205 show. Okay, well, surely Neville will be part of that initially. And he was not part of that initially. And it was just a case of, anybody seen Neville? Haven't seen Neville around here lately. What's going on with Neville? So it was really nice to finally see him get involved in this, because Neville is such a great freaking talent. I have always seen this guy's praises. I've been giving this guy praise since watching him in NXT. I know what he's capable of, especially if you have him flip it and he's a bad guy. I mean, he does it so freaking well. So I was ecstatic, and, not to repeat myself just repeatedly here, because I've said it many times, I've gone on record many times, but for newer listeners, that maybe aren't quite connecting the dots, I think y'all would definitely have to be in agreement that have watched the Cruiserweights, whether it's on Raw, or you're watching 205, it ain't been going good so far. Everything that was right with the tournament that we got initially hasn't translated into this weekly series, sadly. And it's really unfortunate, because there's a lot of great, talented folks that make up this Cruiserweight division that are doing this whole 205 thing, but the execution, it's just crappy. And it doesn't, that's the sad part. It's almost like when you're watching these guys in the ring, I think tonight may have been one of those rare occasions in like a span of many weeks that we've had the Cruiserweights on our TVs now, where, hey, this was actually a really good match. This was actually on point. Thoroughly enjoyed it. All right. And the fact that there is a lack of consistency, when you have a lack of consistency and then you have poor storytelling and then you don't necessarily have the right people in place to make you, the TV viewer, want to give a damn about that particular matchup that you're going to be seeing, or, oh, wait, Cruiserweights are coming on. I mean, now the running gag, and it's quite sad, but let's go there. Now, the Cruiserweights is equivalent to your traditional Divas match from a couple of years back. That's the point where we're at right now. So when the Cruiserweights come on, everybody's going, oh, time for a piss break. That's how they're doing it. So I would really, in 2017, I would really love to see the Cruiserweights really excel. And I just personally feel that with Neville at the helm now, they cannot do wrong. I mean, hell, you already tried TJ Perkins. That really didn't work out. Love the guy, talented as hell, but it just didn't work out when it's all said and done. Not all on him. He can only take but a certain percentage of the blame, but it's not all on him. You go to Brian Kendrick. Have always been a fan of Brian Kendrick. Loved his work tremendously. Have followed his career all over the place. Talented as hell. One of the most underrated guys I feel that's out there. There should have been a lot more happening for his career, especially during his first go around in the WWE. But when he had his go as the Cruiserweight champion, respectfully, that did not go well. And I think that was just mainly because of how the storytelling was done in the way they portrayed him to the WWE universe. Not all on Kendrick, but again, he too has to take a certain percentage of the blame. But it's not all on him entirely. So they've already tried 2 experiments right there. Then you go with Rich Swann, and I got nothing but love for Rich Swann, especially since he's from here in the DMV area. Got a lot of love for him. Very familiar with his work. Fan of his work way before he came into the WWE. But respectfully, even that experiment just was not. And I think in Rich Swann's case, it was mainly because, just to follow up on what I said recently, it was like watching Junkyard Dog 2.0, Ron the Truth Killings 2.0 all over again. You just think about all the black people that we've seen in the WWE over the years shucking and jiving and, all that other silliness, you're like, okay, can we get something new? Because this is played out. We've seen this many times already. So can we get something new? So to finally have a guy like Neville step up to the plate, and he's given the opportunity, they can do no wrong at this point. They've already struck out 3 times. Neville, if they do this right, he may be the true saving grace for the cruiserweight division. And just anybody else notice? No TJ Perkins on Raw these past couple of weeks. And I don't know if he's been popping up on 205 because I watched a couple of episodes and I just was not feeling it. Will I watch 205 now that Neville is the Cruiserweight Champion? Yeah, because I'm curious to see, what's going to be happening with him storyline-wise. So I will try to tolerate it just to see what goes down with that. But I expect nothing but positive things that'll happen as a result of Neville being the Cruiserweight Champion in a way that hopefully it'll have a domino effect. And I do mean a big domino effect. Just everything that he was able to accomplish when he was in NXT, there's enough right there. I mean, the guy's talented as hell. All he needs is the right booking and the right storytelling. And I mean, the pieces are already there as far as the talent. The talent is there. Damn good talent at that. So the talent's not the problem. It's just everything else in between, man. So good matchup right there. Yeah, it was a good matchup. Let's tell you how that one had pretty much wrapped up. Bring it in on the closing moments of that one. Towards the end, we had Saul Neville. He tried to climb up for a superplex, but Rich Swann was able to fight that off successfully. They both ended up on the mat. Swann had connected with a big kick. Neville then came right back with a super kick of his own. Neville tried to go for a maneuver, but Swann countered, did a roll-up, only managed to get a 2 count. Swann had almost put Neville away with another kick, but Neville had got his foot on the bottom rope. Referee saw that, luckily. Swann was able to keep control but for the most part, but Neville actually ended up running to the top and nailed with a big superplex, only received a 2 count. Neville would then go straight into a submission hold in the middle of the ring that actually had forced Rich Swann to tap out to become your new Cruiserweight Champion. That was actually a really damn good matchup. I must admit, damn good matchup. Let's go to what I consider to be, honestly, a Match of the Year candidate. Now, there's a big difference between Match of the Year winner. We can't say winner. I mean, come on. It's still January. We're still into the new year. But I think it does deserve an honorable mention for Match of the Year candidate. I feel AJ Styles, John Cena. This was a damn good matchup. A lot of people being very vocal about this matchup. I mean, you look at the story that was told going into this matchup, and the last burning image that we have in our minds is what went down on SmackDown this week, where John Cena just verbally cut down into little bitty teeny pieces AJ Styles, and you're like, And it definitely ruffled the feathers of some that are involved in the wrestling business that was like, man, nah, that's just silly the way that they just had AJ just stand there and just take that verbal abuse like that. He should have came right back with something witty, like what the hell? So you look at all that dissing that was going on, man, and I don't know, maybe it was just me, but when I looked at all that verbal dissing that was going down with Styles in that ring, I truly believe that AJ had to go into tonight's match and become a guy that could have the bragging rights of, hey, I beat John Cena by myself, not once, but, like twice, like legitimately, I beat him, and I beat him on the grandest stage of them all. For me, I just really felt as though with AJ Styles going into this year's Royal Rumble, and he's the WWE Champion, that there was more at stake, that a victory for Styles, storyline-wise, right? Just storyline-wise, it would validate the run that he's had in the WWE. It would pretty much put a book year to what has been a fantastic year for this guy. I mean, you want to talk about breakout star of the year, even though he's up there in age. Yeah, AJ Styles definitely deserving of that, just the great run that he's had. So I was really, really perplexed that the title went to John Cena. Don't get me wrong, damn good matchup. I love the fact that both men did all of their signature moves, did their finishers, not once, but like twice, and they were kicking out. I mean, it was a good, strong, dominating back and forth. I loved it. I mean, really, really great storytelling, man. And I like the fact that a lot of people, even though they were a little bit upset that AJ did not retain, I love the fact that they say, you know what? And a lot of people felt the same way I did, which was, it was a great back and forth. It was equally balanced when both guys were on the offense. Hey, good matchup when it was all said and done. And it was truly a really good matchup. Closing moments of this matchup, we had saw Cena. He tried to apply a AA. AJ had managed to counter that, turned it into a calf crusher. Cena managed to get AJ in a STF. I mean, they were pretty much just like trading submission holds for submission holds throughout this matchup, which was like just freaking fantastic. We saw Cena. He tried to pull AJ back into the middle of the ring. But the first go around, AJ had managed to grab the bottom rope. A little bit more back and forth. Cena dragged him into the middle of the ring, had that STF locked in. Somehow, AJ was able to counter that, turn that into a submission maneuver, of which Cena was able to power out of it. We saw Cena. He tried to go for another double AA, attitude adjustment, but AJ managed to counter that. And a lot of series of submission holds, a lot of counters going down here. We saw at one point Cena managed to power out of a hold and slammed AJ. From there, Cena tried to climb to the top of the rope while AJ was down. Looked as though maybe he was going to try to go for maybe a leg drop, but AJ managed to block it. AJ then tries to apply the Styles Clash, connects, but only receives a 2 count. We then saw Cena successfully block a 450 splash with his knees, and that pretty much had messed up Styles big time. Cena was able to connect with a destroyer for a near 2 count. A lot of back and forth again going down. We saw Cena catapult AJ into the corner, nailed him with a cutter for a 2 count. Cena then takes AJ to the second rope for a super attitude adjustment that does connect, goes in for the cover. That was a 2 count. Fans were just eating this up from the moment go. I mean, they were just ape shit crazy over this matchup that they had saw. And from there, we see Cena in disbelief. Like, what the hell I got to do to take this guy down? What the hell? We eventually saw AJ crawl to the apron, and somehow he was able to connect with a phenomenal forearm, but Cena blocked it, turned it into an attitude adjustment, was able to connect that time, and AJ Styles sadly lost his WWE title. So your new champion, and you will be told to believe that John Cena has now tied Ric Flair for the 16-time world champion record. I loved it, man. It was nice. It was a really damn good match. No doubt, AJ Styles, he's got that rematch that's going to be coming to him. So is AJ maybe going to get involved at Elimination Chamber? Is maybe his title shot going to come in that form? Or is it going to be a case where AJ Styles is going to be waiting for whoever walks out, still the WWE Champion, come Elimination Chamber to challenge them at WrestleMania? I would like to believe that that's probably going to be the scenario that's going to be going down. Contrary to some of the ideas that other people have may be in store for John Cena at Mania, as far as who he might be defending that title against. Look, man, when it's all said and done, if you ask me personally, Would I have loved to seen AJ Styles go into WrestleMania as the WWE Champion? You bet your ass. You bet your ass. But, I'm just trying to think from that business standpoint, because I do have that business thinking cap and all that. I'm always trying to figure out ways to put myself in a position where monetization-wise, I can get the most profit as possible on whatever things I tend to embark on, my little endeavors or whatever. WrestleMania season, you got to put as many eyes on the product as possible. John Cena may not be a household name like a Hulk Hogan or a Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he does have his freaking fan base. And I mean, you know, WWE has to capitalize on that. I think, quite honestly, the real travesty, I'm surprised WWE has not tried to capitalize on John Cena sooner. I mean, you had many opportunities where John Cena was going to the Today Show. Like, okay, you couldn't put the belt around him then. You had opportunities where John Cena was going to some, you know, Nickelodeon event, some red carpet event. You could have did it then. You didn't do it then. When he was getting ready to go host SNL, you had the opportunities to go do it then. You didn't do it then. So, you know, a lot of missed opportunities for WWE as far as brand awareness, trying to put more eyes on the product as possible. But, say what you will, when it comes to WrestleMania season, WWE always like, okay, let's try to go with what's safe. And I think also it's one of those scenarios where I think, honestly, Vince McMahon and crew, they're going, you know what, man, we ain't going to have John Cena forever. You know, the guy's 39. He's going to be 40 later this year. You know, he's winding down. This may be it. This may be his one last hoorah of you know, if not the last hoorah, this may be his one of two last hoorahs. So I'm all fine for it. My whole thing is, and see, this is why I'm perfectly fine with it, is because and my phone is just like blowing up like a motherfucker right now. You know how you're like doing your thing and you get somebody that'll just do like a shitload of retweets, like back to back to back to back to back. I hate when that shit happens, especially like when you're in the middle of something and you're trying not to lose your train of thought and somebody just comes in, retweet, retweet, retweet. I just got like 8 fucking retweets in like 10 seconds. I hate when that shit happens. Anyway, I still have my train of thought. Remember when John Cena was the United States champion? That was a damn good run, right? I mean, he had damn good quality matches. The point I'm making is I am all fine with a John Cena as the WWE champion. One little thing. I want to put an asterisk by it. For as long as AJ Styles was going in there, throwing it down and everything, going to the house shows, all that good jazz, I needed to see John Cena in that same position as well. Now, we've had John Cena be very vocal in interviews saying, man, I'm not really too keen on some of these people that's coming in and they're getting like 6 figures and they're only showing up for like 3 dates and they're not working any house shows or whatnot. They're working like about maybe 3-4 Raws and they're getting 6 figures. What the hell is up with that? That's not really cool. That's not really fair. Well, to kind of quote somebody that's no longer with the WWE, change doesn't happen if you're just sitting on your ass. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to get yourself involved. The only way you can make change is from within. So, honestly, if Cena goes in there, you know, as long as Cena is going in there and he's going in there full time, I have no problem. I have no problem with him being the WWE champion. I just want for WWE, now that we're like 63 days away from WrestleMania, I just want for WWE to do, and they always do it brilliantly, which is putting as many eyes on their product as possible when WrestleMania season is upon us. So by them putting the strap on Cena, I got no problem with it, but at the same time, you got to make sure that with a guy like AJ Styles, and I don't want people, look, you're talking to a long-time AJ Styles fan, been a fan of this guy for many, many, many years. Seen a big bulk of his stuff in TNA wrestling, and I've always sung the praises of AJ Styles. I wish we would have had AJ Styles in the WWE a lot sooner. It did not play out that way, sadly. But I mean, just to see this late in his career, how he has just had a phenomenal, no pun intended, but a phenomenal freaking year that he's had in the WWE. I mean, honestly, we as fans collectively, especially those of us that have passionately followed the career of AJ Styles, we should not be ashamed. This is my message to you guys. We should not be ashamed. We should not be upset that AJ lost the strap. If anything, we say, you know what, man, you're almost 40 years old. You went in there. You went at it hard. You did all the house shows. You did everything that was asked of you to do. And you kept hitting home runs. You proved to the WWE that you are an impact player and that you are reliable. So, I mean, I think we as fans, we need to rejoice in that. And I'm not a betting man, but if I were, WWE upper brass is not done with AJ Styles. Not by a freaking long shot. I still believe that there's big plans for this guy. Could it maybe mean he gets a piece of The Undertaker? You know, I know some people maybe don't want to see AJ Styles seen at WrestleMania because maybe they feel, look, these matchups are good, but do I really want to see this again, or do I really want to see something new? I'm telling you, man, they're going to reward that type of work that AJ Styles has been putting in. They have been rewarding him, but, you know, I always have personally believed, as somebody that has friends that are involved in the wrestling business and the stories that, you know, I wish I could tell you, but I can't. You know, if there's one thing that a wrestling promotion likes tremendously, it's that when it's time for you to do business, and it's time for you to do something that you may not want to do, but you know you got to do it for the better good of the company, so you're being a team player as a result. Depending on the promoter, if it's a really good employer and they treat their talents on point, they remember shit like that. They remember, hey, when we needed to do business, this guy, this girl, they were on point. That's how you become a good, steady, reliable hand. So, you know, we'll see where this goes in a couple of weeks, but I don't think we all should be jumping the gun just yet, just going, AJ Styles, WTF, oh, I don't think we need to be, you know, freaking out just yet, man. So we got that match out the way. We got one more thing to talk about, man, and that is the Royal Rumble match. Oh, where do I begin? Can I start with Stephanie McMahon? Bipolar Stephanie McMahon, she returned, and this is what I mean by storyline consistency. Okay, I've been just beating this to death when it comes to the Raw flagship show. Once in a while, SmackDown will have its, but Raw for the most part, there's a lot of inconsistency. So let me see if I got this straight. So the cab driver, Sami Zayn, he has this scene backstage earlier in the night where he freaking goes and he goes to the turner, the tumbler. He gets his Royal Rumble number, and we've got Stephanie McMahon. She's actually happy to see him. She's patting him on the back. She's saying hello to him. She's asking him how he's doing. Sami Zayn finds out that his Royal Rumble number is 8. And Stephanie's like, 8's not a bad number. That's not a bad number at all. And then you've got Daniel Bryan, you've got Shane McMahon, you've got Mick Foley. They're all saying, yeah, 8 is not a bad number. That's pretty freaking good, man. That's a decent number. And I'm just kind of going, wait a minute. This is the same Stephanie McMahon. Was it earlier this week? Via conference call or whatever? Yeah. Earlier this week, Stephanie McMahon on the conference call had a serious problem with Sami Zayn requesting to get in the Royal Rumble match, and basically ordered Mick Foley to put Sami Zayn in a match against Seth Rollins, where basically if Sami defeated Seth Rollins, he would get Rollins' Royal Rumble spot. Not sure what the number is, but he would get Seth Rollins' spot. And then you just think back to just all the passionate stare downs that Stephanie has had with Sami Zayn, telling him, I wanted to fire your ass, but Mick Foley, he wants to keep you. He wants to, continue to give you the opportunity, so I obliged him. So Stephanie has really, let it be shown that she has this great disdain for Sami Zayn. And now, all of a sudden tonight, I'm just supposed to forget all of that, went down. And that she's truly happy to see Sami Zayn. She's truly happy that he is number 8 in the Royal Rumble. That was just the stupidest freaking thing that I ever saw in my entire life. It was stupid. Moving on to the Royal Rumble itself, I'm going to come at this in a way where you guys are going to be like, Lee, I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you brought that up. So, let's talk about the entrance, right? Again, no surprise entrance. No immortal Hulk Hogan. No Kurt Angle, right? No Jeff Hardy. No Matt Hardy. No Rey Mysterio. No Finn Balor. No Finn Balor. And the reports are out there that Finn Balor is 100% healthy, supposedly. Okay. But no Finn Balor. Okay. And we're supposed to remember the Rumble. Well, a lot of us are remembering the Rumble right now for all the wrong reasons. We're remembering that this Rumble is, quite honestly, let's be for real, this Rumble was some shit. And this Rumble was some shit because of the booking. Again, storyline continuity. Do we need to bring back something we haven't done in a good while? Stupid booking 101. And this Rumble match was the finest case of stupid booking 101. So, I have been saying for the past couple of months now, and I said it as early as Saturday, if I were booking the Royal Rumble, once Braun Strowman gets in there, the fans are behind Braun Strowman. They love them some Braun Strowman. They know that when Braun Strowman comes out, he is the most powerful, menacing looking guys that's out there. When he comes out, you go, oh shit, I gotta see what this guy is doing. This guy stands 6'8", weighs about 365 pounds. When you do your research on him, you go, wow, this guy was a former strongman champion? Yeah, he looks like a damn strongman champion. Okay. And then you find out, oh, hey, he used to be a Rosebud. And you see, just this incredible journey that he's been able to come on. 33 years of age. Young, still moldable. Career looks so freaking promising. I said to you guys, if I'm booking the Rumble, when I have Braun Strowman come in, he's dominating. I've got him eliminating guys left and right. He's doing such a serious number. There may be some gang-ups on him for a little bit. But you want to talk about passing the torch a little bit. Bump passing the torch. You want to talk about paying it forward. If I'm booking this, I'm going to have Braun Strowman take out Mark Henry. I'm going to have him take out The Big Show. Kane normally makes an appearance during the Rumbles. Well, we didn't get Kane this year, but I even said, put Kane out there. Braun's going to eliminate him. Somehow put Braun in a position where he's able to capitalize on this feud, this thing that's going down between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Right? Somehow he's able to get both of those guys out of the ring. But you let him have a good, strong, dominating performance. Now, WWE, I will give them a lot of credit. They did it right with the first part. They made sure that he had a good, strong, dominating performance. The only thing to that equation, they did not continue to see it through. I don't know who was booking this, but it was stupid the way that they booked this. So that's how I would do Braun Strowman. And then I even took it a step further. I said you had Roman Reigns. He did the new record. What was it in 2014, guys? 2014. His record is now 12 eliminations. That's the most elimination records. I said, nah, let Braun surpass that. Let him get it by 1 or let him get it by 2, but definitely let him get the record this year. Shows a lot of promise. You want to put a lot of eyes. You want to get people talking. That's how you do it. That's how you build. So to recap, Braun Strowman eliminated the following people. Just pull this up. He eliminated the following people. Pull this up on my phone here because I made sure I got this down. It's not a long list too. These are the people that Braun Strowman eliminated. Kalisto, Big Cass, Conan O'Brien. No, not really Conan O'Brien. Gallagher. Jack Gallagher. Mark Henry. Ellsworth. Ty Dillinger. That was a great little spot with Ty Dillinger at number 10, and he comes out. But did anybody else notice after Ty had came out, because everybody was doing the 10, once you heard the music hit and he comes out, they're excited. Once he gets in the ring, they're pretty much silent. So, I mean, for me, don't get me wrong, and I know that this is going to be a really big talk amongst a lot of fans now. Oh, should Ty go to Raw or should Ty go to SmackDown? Look at the reaction that he got. Let's remember that a majority of the crowd that was there tonight for the Rumble, 9 times out of 10, was the same crowd that just saw Ty Dillinger less than 24 hours ago at the TakeOver event, Saturday night. So the real tale is going to be how will it translate to bigger crowds in various cities. I think that is the real tale. Now, based on what we saw tonight, is he worthy of like a one-shot appearance on an episode of Raw and or SmackDown just to see how the crowd engages him, how they react to him? It's definitely worth that. And then maybe you go from there. But I wouldn't be so quick to be like, oh, should he go to Raw? Oh, well, are they going to put him on? Take it one step at a time, guys. You always got to remember, just because you're seeing the reactions that you're getting on TV, you got to just always kind of think, wait a minute. And like I said, majority of that crowd was probably at the NXT event. So you got to think like that. So you got all of these eliminations that had went down by Braun Strowman. And you're going, okay, this is pretty good. He's off to a good start. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 7 eliminations. This is good, right? But then out of nowhere, he gets eliminated by Boring Corbin. Boring Corbin. That is my new name for him. My girl will tell you, I was so pissed off when I saw this go down. So you want for me and many other fans that's out there that has a pair of eyeballs, works just fine. They know what they see every single week on their programming. They know what they like. You're trying to tell me and the majority of fans that's out there that we give more of a damn about Boring Corbin than we do about Braun Strowman. I'm led to believe this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a hard time believing that. Every single Monday night, I'm interacting with you guys on social media. I'm reading the Twitter feeds. I see nothing but a lot of love for Braun Strowman. When I go to Tuesday nights and I go to SmackDown, I see a majority opposite. Boring Corbin is supposed to be this lone wolf, this mean, menacing dude that, like, you don't want to mess with him. You don't want to get in his crosshairs because he's a bad mamma jamma. You don't want to mess with him. He gonna mess you up. He gonna do a serious number on you. Turn around, go the other way. Boys and girls, I fought my share of people in my lifetime. Okay? I've had fights. I fought people that were like 6'6", I was able to whoop their ass. I got my ass whooped a handful of times. I've had my share of fights back in the day. Let me tell you something. What is being portrayed to me when it comes to Boring Corbin, he does not come off menacing. He does not come off intimidating. You know what I see when I look at Boring Corbin? Quite honestly. What I see is, what was the name of the VH1 show that used to come on back in the day? Not Hard Rock. Oh, God. I can't think of the name of the show now. But you had this guy with, like, blonde hair. I can't think of his name. His name might have been Cage. I don't know. Kane. His name was Kane. And last I checked, he's a rock radio disc jockey out in Los Angeles. But, like, back in the maybe, I want to say, late 90s, early 2000s, the guy frickin' had a really great show on VH1, and he would host like an hour of rock music. He was really good. Baron Corbin reminds me of that. That is what he reminds me of. Now, to QW in the chat room, OMG, people making a big deal out of who eliminated who. See, understand the words that are coming from out of my mouth. It's not about necessarily the elimination. It is all about making sure that you're getting people over properly that are deserving of being put over properly. Just stop and really think for a minute. Think about what all you have been seeing with your respected WWE programming all these months. You've got Braun Strowman and you've got Boring Corbin. All right? You think about, okay, who's putting the better effort out there in the ring? Majority of people, I bet you if we were to poll people right now, they're going to say Braun Strowman. Okay, now when it comes to the promos, who delivers on the better promos between Braun Strowman, Boring Corbin? I bet you if we polled everybody, everybody's going to say Braun Strowman. Who looks as though they have more of a promising longevity, successful career? Braun Strowman or Boring Corbin? I bet you a majority of the people would say Braun Strowman. If you had to fire one of the following people in order to keep the other, who would you let go? I bet you if we polled people and the options were Braun Strowman, Boring Corbin, the majority of people would say, see you later, Boring Corbin. What I don't want for you, the guys that are watching these shows every single week, I want for you guys to be able to make up your own minds. I don't want you guys falling victim to, okay, this is the way WWE wants for you to perceive things. This is who you need to root for. You have a set of eyeballs. You know talent when you see it. You know, hey, this guy, there is something about him. I can't quite put my finger on it, but you know what? Every time I see this guy on my TV, I put my remote down because I want to see what this guy is going to do. This guy's pretty. And so many people that I've spoken to and I interact with in forums and all that, a lot of promise in Braun Strowman. So, dude, it's not about who eliminates who. It is all about the booking. That is what we're homing in on. Okay? Now, just think about it. Just really stop and, don't take my word for it. If you've watched WWE Raw for as long as I have, if you've watched WWE programming for as long as I have, stop and think for a moment. Think as far back as to when Braun Strowman first made his debut on the Raw roster and he was with the Wyatt family. What did all of us say collectively? We said, damn, that big dude, that Braun dude, he looks kind of promising. Wonder how he would fly as a solo act. Sure enough, we got our wish once they did the draft. And what happened? They had him steamrolled through some created wrestlers, as I like to call it. Right? We're like, okay, all right, he's coming along. Then he eventually moved up. He moved up to established people, the Sami Zayns and all that other stuff. And we're like, okay, he's coming along just fine. Now you stop and you rewind it back, you think about that journey that he's been on, and you're going the whole time, all right, he's promising. He's coming along. Baron Corbin has been at a stalemate. He has been at a stalemate since we first laid eyes on him at NXT. That's the God's the honest truth. And if you need any recent example of where Corbin is right now, pull up an episode of SmackDown, I would say from about maybe 3 weeks ago when he was providing commentating. I forgot what the main event match was, but it was some of the most lamest commentating that I had heard in my entire freaking life. And I'm going, okay, I'm supposed to buy into this lone wolf guy. I'm supposed to buy into the fact that this guy's menacing. I'm supposed to buy into the fact that this guy is very intimidating, that you don't want to, cross paths with this guy. You know what I see when I look at Baron Corbin? He reminds me of a damn guy on MTV or VH1 that is like, hey, what's up? My name's Baron Corbin, and you're checking out MTV Metal Underground. This week, we're coming at you guys with a little bit of Black Sabbath. Later on, we're going to give you guys some Overkill. So kick back, get ready to bang your heads. That's how Baron Corbin comes off to me. All right? He comes off to me as that meets the bass player of Anthrax. That is how he fucking comes off. There's nothing intimidating about that, boys and girls. The sooner you all realize that, the better. Now, getting back to what I just said. This freaking elimination, it was silly. And let's expand on this elimination even more. You know why it was silly that you had Baron Corbin or that you had anybody else eliminate Braun Strowman and what should have been a dominating performance if booked handedly, if booked properly. I'll tell you what, they also dropped the ball just earlier in the night. Roman Reigns, his match, it was interfered with by Braun Strowman. So where is the storyline consistency? We received no updates that, Roman Reigns was going to be going to a hotel, that he was messed up and he had some eternal injuries or some jazz like that. No, we didn't get that. We did not get that. So if you're just looking out from what has been displayed in front of your eyeballs tonight, you're making an educated conclusion. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're saying, hey, Roman Reigns probably has Braun Strowman's number. Maybe he's going to pay him back at some point during this Rumble match, right? I mean, I would think, right? And that never happened. I do not know who dropped the ball on that. But that was just some of the silliest booking. And you know why it was some of the silliest booking? Because later on in the night, long after Braun Strowman is eliminated, you just have Roman Reigns just casually come on out. And you're like, okay, what the hell? It made more sense to have him cross paths with Braun. Get the payback from earlier. What the hell just happened? So this booking of this Rumble match, it just fell pretty short for me from those standpoints. And then also the fact that we had no surprise entrance. Another letdown. And then we already know that Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, Goldberg, we know that they were supposed to be involved in this Rumble. We're going, okay, so which one of them are we going to get to come out first? Which one of them is maybe going to be somewhere in the teens? Which one of them is going to be in the, top 20, basically? Nah, basically, the Senior Citizens Club, they decided that they were a little bit too good to come out in the single digits, in the double digits as far as the teams go. They wanted to pretty much come out in like the final 5 spots, basically. Final 6 spots is pretty much how they wanted it to go down. And I just had a hard time stomaching that as a fan, because it's like, wow. So all my favorite guys, the Undertakers, the Goldbergs, the Undertakers, the Brock Lesnars, all these guys. So they're all just pretty much going to come out towards the end, They're going to do about 5 minutes or less, and we're pretty much going to be done with them. Okay. And I tell you what, the fans, they just were not loving that. And I don't blame them for heckling. I don't blame them for booing it, because that was just a poor, sad display. And I'll take it a step further. To the fans, I feel that WWE insulted you all's intelligence, and they insulted your time. They definitely insulted your patience with what was displayed tonight. I like the spot where Brock Lesnar gets in there and he's going toe to toe with freaking Goldberg's going face to face with Brock Lesnar, and it's like, okay, let's see how this comes about. Boom, spear. And pretty much after that, Brock Lesnar is eliminated. So you're like, wow, this guy just got owned like freaking twice. Like, okay, this is interesting. This is a very interesting dynamic. But then shortly after that, we see Brock Lesnar. He got eliminated. Who did he get eliminated by, too? Let me look up Brock Lesnar real quick. Brock Lesnar got eliminated by... who got eliminated by... Really? Am I reading this right? Enzo Amore? No, Enzo Amore got taken out by Brock Lesnar, but who took out Brock Lesnar? Goldberg took out Brock Lesnar, but who took out Goldberg is my question. I'm sorry, guys. Undertaker. Yeah, Undertaker had eliminated Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg was at number 28. Undertaker was at number 29 when he had came out. So I tell you, when it came down to pretty much that last spot, those last two spots, Taker was at 29. When it came to number 30, so many people were like expecting, okay, surely this is going to be our surprise entrant. Maybe it's going to be Finn Balor. Surely it's going to be somebody like we haven't even thought about in a while that's going to be popping up. And guys, for Roman Reigns to come out, now don't get it twisted. I've always been a big fan of Roman Reigns. The guy goes in there, he puts in the time, he puts in the effort, good quality matches. Anybody that's been listening to my show long enough knows I've always said that about Roman Reigns. Always. But my freaking God, the position that Roman Reigns was in, I feel for the young man. It's not his fault that he was put in at number 30. Now, some people may say, yeah, but Lee, is he at that point in his career where he kind of has enough stroke to say, hey, man, I don't really think I should be at this number because, like, I've been on a decent roll with some of the crowd reactions. It's not as severe as it used to be. Do we really want to put me at this number? We don't really know, guys, if he really was vocal like that. And we probably won't really know unless a situation comes about, you know, where he's done with the WWE and during a shoot or whatever, he reveals that type of information. But for now, we're only led to speculate. We got to deal with the facts. The guy is put in the position of number 30. And I tell you, as if it was somewhat bad for him earlier in the night, 3 times bad when he comes out and he's number freaking 30. The guy got booed out of the damn arena. So much so, you got the crowd chanting, "This is bullshit." They weren't feeling it. They were not feeling it. And at this point, you're kind of like, okay, you know what? Who we got left? It was down to Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns. You did have Undertaker in there, but Roman eliminated him and told the Undertaker, it's my yard now. So I must admit, I'm a little bit intrigued by that. Is Roman maybe going to be facing the Undertaker at WrestleMania? Could Undertaker maybe be taking on AJ Styles? I mean, you got some interesting dynamics that's going on right there. I must admit, I'm very intrigued by an Undertaker-Roman Reigns matchup. I'm very intrigued by that. What I want to see that. At this point, if I got to see the Undertaker, me personally, I'm not interested in seeing Undertaker and Old Man Goldberg. I'm just not interested in that right now. That doesn't really do anything for me. If you would have maybe rewinded the hands of time 10 years ago, maybe, I would have wanted to see that, but I'm not interested in that right now. I just feel that there would probably at this point be better chemistry and just better physicality between a Goldberg and Roman Reigns matchup. No disrespect to AJ Styles. I know he would definitely be able to deliver as well. But as far as like who Undertaker might dance with, those two jump out at me. I would have no problem with that, quite honestly. So, yeah, you know, that whole Rumble match just really, it just irked me off. We did eventually see Jericho get eliminated. It pretty much was down to Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, facing Roman Reigns. They were doing a serious number on Roman. Bray Wyatt saying to Randy Orton, finish it off, man. Go ahead. We got this. And we saw Randy Orton. He was getting ready to do the RKO. He got pushed by Roman. Bray Wyatt tried to go in, help, but he got sent over the ropes. It pretty much was down to Roman Reigns, Randy Orton. They were slugging it out, and all said and done, man, you got freaking Randy Orton. He goes down as the 7th individual to win 2 Royal Rumble matches. He is going to be heading into WrestleMania, main eventing at WrestleMania. I would like to think for a title of his choosing, maybe, or I would assume that maybe instead it's going to be for the WWE title that's over on SmackDown. So, you know, a lot of people are kind of looking at that, and some people are kind of frowning because it's like, oh no, not another Cena-Orton matchup. Me personally, when it's all said and done, and I like making football comparisons, but I actually would not have a problem with Cena versus Orton, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because there is, for the past couple of years now, there has been a changing of the guard. And I tell you what, Cena, Orton, respectfully, they're not getting any younger. You know, it reminds me a lot of the great Tom Brady, Peyton Manning matchups that we've seen over the years. We knew sooner or later both of those guys, you know, as much as we love them respectively, sooner or later one of them's going to hang it up, and we know it's not quite going to be the same on Sunday nights. You know, when you look at that card and you see, oh, Patriots are going to be taking on the Broncos, or Patriots are going to be taking on the Colts, we know that after a while it's not going to be the same because one of those quarterbacks is going to be gone. So when I look at Cena and Orton, if it were, and I'm not saying it is, but if it were to go down at Mania, Cena, Orton for the title, I would have no problem with that, because this could very well be the last time that we see Cena and Orton lock it up for the WWE title. Not to mention, it could be the very last time that we see these two guys respectfully lock it up at the grandest stage of them all, period. Remember, they both were pretty much part of the same OVW class. Both pretty much had kind of came up at about the same time and all that. So I personally would have no problem with it, but I think the real story that we need to take out of this going into the next batch of weeks for SmackDown is, what's the telling story going to be between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton? You know, now that Randy Orton has that Mania opportunity, is Bray Wyatt going to become so jaded that he's going to say to Randy Orton, hey man, look, you're my disciple, and understand I brought you into this family for one thing and one thing only, you know, which is to, be loyal to the family. I see all this great potential that's in you, and you've represented well, but now, you are facing your true test as far as your allegiance to me, which is, in a nutshell, is Bray Wyatt going to say to Randy Orton, you need to cough up that Mania spot, you need to give it to me? Do we maybe see friction from that standpoint? But, so I'm curious to see how that comes about. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm not speaking on behalf of all of you all, but I'm just saying for me personally, if it were the last time that we see these guys go at it, and I understand what Joker is saying. He's saying, I understand your point, Lee, about Cena versus Orton being the last time. We might see that, but we don't want to see that at Mania. Do it on SmackDown or another pay-per-view. Well, again, guys, we got 63 days until WrestleMania. All I'm saying is a lot can happen between then. Don't assume. I just put the thought out there that Bray Wyatt may have something to say about this. But, I mean, honestly, let me tell you something, man. If the two were to face off, first off, let's be brutally honest. WWE has done a fantastic job of keeping John Cena and Randy Orton separate from one another. They were well aware of the backlash that they had, got back in the day, because it was like every other month you turned around, those two guys were locking it up. So to WWE's credit, and I'm not defending them, but when they're doing it right, I give them their praise. When they're doing it wrong, I'm on that ass. And I got to give them credit. They kept those guys separated for a good minute. I mean, hell, John Cena has been away from the title picture for a long time. Randy Orton has been away from the title picture for a long time. So, you got to tell the right type of storyline. And it's amazing how times have changed sometimes, because I can remember the long, drawn-out feud that Shawn Michaels and Triple H had. And I tell you, I did not come across one fan that was like, this shit again. I mean, everybody was just eating the hell out of that. I mean, they had some that was a classic rivalry that they had that was going down. So, I mean, if the storyline is right, it all strings together. If WWE were to kind of dub it in a way like, hey, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, one last time, this is kind of like it. If you can sell it like that and then fucking honor that, then you know what? Fans can get behind it. But if you toy with them, kind of like John Cena versus The Rock, once in a lifetime, meaning like, okay, so this is probably like a one-time deal, but then you do the rematch, not quite the same effect, man. Not quite. But freaking overall, I would have to say that this Royal Rumble event, it was a lot better than the TakeOver event. Barely gets a passing grade for me. When I think about some of the matches that we had got for tonight, honestly, I got to give it up to the Cruiserweight title match. That was probably one of the best matches that we had of the card. I definitely enjoyed the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns match. That was on point. For sure, the John Cena AJ Styles match, that was on point as well. Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the highest. I would respectfully have to give Royal Rumble I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. I would say a 6.5 out of 10. Numbers definitely could have went up a lot higher with better smart booking with regards to that Royal Rumble matchup. And now that I laid it all out to you guys, I think y'all can understand where I'm coming from with regards to that. And I will continue to sing the praises, and I'm being sarcastic with that, but I will continue to lash out, I guess you could say, or admit my over a boring Corbin until I see some leaps and bounds of improvement. Now let's go to you guys. I want to hear what you guys had thought about the Royal Rumble, man. I'm going to poke my head in these chats, see what you guys are saying. Nothing spells loving like getting private messages while you're on the show. And, it's like, why send me a private message and you're asking me a Royal Rumble question? Put it out there in the open, man. Let's see what's this saying. What's the chances we see Finn Balor coming out interrupting a Curtin Owens celebration? Your guess is as good as mine. If it were to go down, I would be so fine for that. I really would. I miss Finn Balor tremendously, man. I hope it goes down. Well, I got you guys' attention if you've been appreciating the show so far. However you're checking it out, whether it's on YouTube or it's on Spreaker, make sure you click on the like. Feel free to share it. Definitely subscribe. You guys on YouTube, poke your head. Check out the playlist that's on there. A lot of great content that's there, especially in our past guest exclusive section. A lot of great interviews that were conducted over the years. Check that out when you guys get the opportunity. I'm just popping my head in the Spreaker chat here, And I'm seeing what you guys are saying. Joe, Lee, if you could, a Shield 2.0 without Ambrose, who would you pick to put Rollins? Wait a minute, let me read that again. Lee, if you could, a Shield 2.0 without Ambrose, who would you pick to put with Rollins and Reigns? That's a good question. I'll save that for Tuesday. Let's see, what else we got? I'll remember that question for Tuesday. I'm still popping my head in the Spreaker chat here. Oh, I appreciate the comment, man. Lee, been listening to Lee for quite a while now. His podcasts are addicting. Lee has the ability to make you relive the event on his wrap-up shows. Listening to Lee, you can picture the spots he talks about in your head. He is spot on, accurate with his wrap-up details. Joe, I appreciate that as always. Thank you, man. Let's see what else we got. And I'm going to get to that question. I saw you ask that question twice, Joe. I'm going to answer that on Tuesday. So if you can't catch it live, just make sure you scoop it up on the downloads. I got your hookup. Put some question marks at the end, man, if you guys got some questions. Eric Rowan is injured. Last I heard, no telling when that guy is going to be coming back. Let's see, looking at some more comments here. Shout out to Joe, shout out to Razor, shout out to Freddie. Y'all just going back and forth with each other. That's cool. I like that. YouTube, let's show you guys some love. Look at you guys' questions here. What's going on with Brock? Tim Perdue. Honestly, if I'm not mistaken, I think Goldberg is scheduled for an episode of Raw in less than 24 hours. So I think the real question we need to be asking ourselves is Brock Lesnar going to be there? Because if so, is Brock Lesnar maybe going to like come out unannounced, beat the holy crap out of Goldberg? Goldberg's out for a couple of weeks. Yeah, do you maybe kind of set up that Mania rematch that way? I would like to think so, but I think that's probably what's going to be going down. Hell, where was Paul Heyman? How would you book WrestleMania 33? That's a good question. Hang on. Let me get that down. How would I book WrestleMania 33? I'm not going to spend all that time answering that question because that would take a good hot minute. Now, if you're asking me how I would book the current card that's intact right now, that's one thing. Like who I would have go over, that's one thing. But if you're asking me if I could just, with the current talent, if I would just from scratch, what type of matches would I set up for WrestleMania 33? That's a totally different question. So what I'll do is I'll answer that two different ways, but I'll answer that question on Tuesday as well. So it's actually nice kind of forwarding some of these questions that we got coming up. And see, I know who I would want in that Shield 2.0. The only thing is he's tearing it up right now with the Authors of Pain. So I'm kind of going in that direction right now. So that kind of gives you a hint where I'm going. Look at some more questions we got here. I'm still looking at YouTube here. Let's see what else we got here. Victor says the Samoan Cena is garbage. Couldn't wrestle his way out of a trash bag. Can't cut a promo in his life. Depended on it. I don't want this bum as the one guy shoved down my throat for 12 years plus. Like Cena. Well, Victor, you're entitled to your own opinion, man. And, you know, that's what makes this country so beautiful, man. Kevin Owens versus Lesnar. Yeah, I agree. That would be an epic freaking match right there. And again, to Adenis 100. Again, how would I rate the Royal Rumble show? 6.5 out of 10. That's honestly how I would rate it. Looking at some more questions here. See a couple of more before we wrap it up. Yeah, for the most part, the crowd didn't give a damn about the entrance. That is, I think we can all be in agreement on that. I mean, they did the little countdown thing, and then once they heard the music and they saw who it was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. I think honestly, when I look back on the entrance for the Rumble, Undertaker got a nice pop, Brock Lesnar got a nice pop, Goldberg got a nice pop, Enzo got a nice pop. Big Cass got a nice pop. Ambrose got a little something something. Jericho got his pop. Sammy even got his pop. Big Show even got a decent pop. Ty Dillinger for sure, he got his pop. Everybody else, it was just kind of like, oh, this person's out here. They were just kind of tolerating it when it was all said and done. I really wish Rey Mysterio would have been in there, though, man. That really would have been awesome. Ambassador Rose, it's one of the worst Royal Rumbles in history. WWE is not entertaining like years ago. Undertaker or Goldberg should have won. Would you really have wanted to see those two old guys win the Rumble, though? Really? I don't know about that one, guys. I don't know about that one. That's a good question. Let's forward that to Tuesday night. Should one of those guys had actually won the Royal Rumble? That's a damn good question. I see some of you guys are going 6 out of 10 for the pay-per-view as well, calling it weak. Let's see what else we got here. Just reading a couple more comments here, and then after that, we're going to roll up out of here. How are we doing on the showtime anyway? Oh, that ain't too bad, an hour, 40 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Just reading some more comments from you guys. Disappointed. Yeah, a lot of you guys in the chat here, man, talking about how disappointed you were with tonight's Royal Rumble, man. Yeah, we're not going to be remembering this Rumble. I think we all can be in agreement. I see a 7. We got a 7 for the Rumble. I see right now a lot of us are honestly going to be remembering that Rumble that's going to be happening in Philadelphia. It's so sad that this Rumble played out the way that it did because, correct me if I'm wrong, this was like the 30th anniversary Rumble. So, yeah. Damn, 4 out of 10. Interesting. And go over to Spreaker one more time. Ambrose to Ellsworth. That was a funny spot. Yeah, I love that. I love Dean Ambrose. Like, come on, we're gonna go in here. We're gonna take out Brock Lesnar. Come on. 3, 2, 1, and he just sent him in there by himself. No, it wasn't Lesnar. It was against Strowman, and Dean Ambrose just let him just fly solo like that. I love that spot. That was pretty fucking funny. That's it, man. We did pretty good. I mean, we covered all the bases so energetically, so passionately as well. I want you to do me a huge favor. For those of you that have the Twitter and the Facebook, make sure you give me a follow. I'm at the RCWR Show. I love staying connected with you guys, interact with you in between the shows. And I'm actually going to put a poll up as soon as I shut this down via Twitter. It's going to be the official, how would you rate the Royal Rumble? I want you to be brutally honest. I'll put the options in there, and if the option doesn't apply to you, you can always just tweet me, let me know what your thoughts are about it, and hopefully we can have generated enough votes where we can follow up on it Tuesday night. Also, for those of you that may be listening for the first time, you may not be aware, we got a really cool contest that's going on right now where you can win not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 5 wrestling DVDs from the past, present, or something that's getting ready to come out in the future. Your choice, standard, Blu-ray. All you got to do, take part in our 2016 Wrestling Awards. You have the power. There's no silly little poll where you have to pick this person's name or that person's name, or no. You vote, you type in who you want to be the male wrestler of the year or the female wrestler of the year, rivalry of the year. It's your voice. You let it be heard. So go cast your vote so that you can be entered for a chance to win 5 wrestling DVDs. Go to tinyurl.com/2016 RCWR Awards. One more time, that's tinyurl.com 2016 RCWR Awards. Best of luck to you. We're actually going to be extending the voting contest, so you now have until February 20th. Cutoff date was actually the 6th of February, but we're going to extend it to the 20th. So best of luck to you guys in casting your vote in there. I appreciate the love and support as always. So that is going to do it. Thank you for checking out this Royal Rumble after show. We'll do this again for you guys in a little bit. Good night, y'all.